-36. There is some wind down on the field. I was down there a little while ago. You can feel that 14-mile-an-hour wind, although it is not a high or severe wind at this point. The Bears have won the toss, and they will receive. Ed Garcia will kick it off. The deep man for the Chicago Bears is Dave Dewerson, number 22, getting his first opportunity at that spot. Brian Baschnagel and Anthony Hutchison are the up men. Garcia, number 11, boots it off, and we are underway on this cold afternoon. Partly cloudy skies in Chicago. Bears bring it up to the 27-yard line. Dave Dewerson, the former Notre Dame star, who will start in the defensive backfield. But the Bears offensively bring out McMahon with Suey and Payton, the running backs. Dennis McKinnon and Willie Gault, the wide receivers. Across the front line, Colbert Jackson, Hilgenberg, Becker, and Andy Frederick, with Emery Moorhead, the tight end. It'll be a first down for Chicago at their own 27-yard line, as the Bears playing for respectability and a 500 record. Indeed, it could turn out that 4 teams in the NFC Central could wind up with 8-8 records, although the Bears cannot go to a playoff spot. Moorhead in motion toward the ball, and the first handoff to Payton straight ahead, picks up nearly 10 yards. The ball is loose, and it is Green Bay recovery, it would appear, unless they have marked it down, and they may have done so. We've got 2 officials.
One official was marking it as a ball that was down, and it looks like
it is going to be a Chicago ball. Mark Murphy had recovered.
Down before the fumble occurred. Second down.
That is Red Cashin, the referee, ruling that it is still Chicago ball.
Now the key is, did he hit the turf before he fumbled? And that's going to be, it looks like he did. He hit the turf and then fumbled, and that is ruled a dead ball.
It was Murphy who made the tackle on Payton and Johnny Gray who had made the recovery, but it goes for naught as far as the pack is concerned. An early turnover opportunity is taken away. It is second and less than a yard for the Chicago Bears. Again, Payton with the ball. And Payton running a little more carefully, make sure he gets the first down, and more importantly holds on to the football over the 40 to the 41. Ezra Johnson and Byron Braggs, the defensive ends, made the tackle. And we look at the Packers defensively, and the 3-4, Braggs, Charles Johnson, and Ezra Johnson are the starters. Anderson, Scott, Cumbie, and Mike Douglas. Douglas, who missed the Bear game 2 weeks ago because of a suspension. Lee, Lewis, the corners. Gray and Murphy are the safeties. There is an injured Bear down, and it is Jim Covert, the rookie from Pittsburgh. So Van Horn has come on, number 78, as we have a timeout on the field while they attend to Jimbo Covert. And we are just underway with the first offensive series. The Bears have a first down at their own 41 when we return to. As we are back at Soldier Field, that is Jimbo Covert, who had to be carried off the field. And he has been replaced by Keith Van Horn. Frederick actually moving over to the left side in Covert's spot, Van Horn to right tackle.
And it looked like they were checking out his knee. That would be a shame to be hurt on the last game of the year like that.
First down for the Bears from their 41. Opening offensive series. Moorhead in motion, pitch out to Payton. Payton looks like he might want to throw there, but carries the ball and picks up only about a yard as the left side of the Packers defense closed him down with Byron Braggs over there and Ezra Johnson, Mark Murphy.
Notice Walter Payton has one glove on and one glove and one free hand. Everybody's wearing gloves out there in the Bear offense except Payton and the quarterback. Well, even McMahon has got these gloves on. But Payton has the one hand free because he feels that he's got that. That's his key hand that he carries the ball with, and he wants to have that feel or that touch. But it's cold out there. Got to have some. Got to be a little bit brave.
3 above 0 at kickoff here at Soldier Field. 36 below wind chill factor. Second down. A long 8 for the Bears. Pitch out to Suey. Suey with blockers in front, but a good defensive play by Ezra Johnson, pulling him down from behind and holding him to a gain of about a yard and a half.
Well, we were talking to Ezra yesterday, and of course he was talking about Jimbo Covert having to go against him. Covert, a big man, a rookie. Now he's going against Andy Frederick, who is number 71. And this time he strings it out, and you'll see Ezra Johnson get into the action here and put the clamps on Matt Suey. Johnson, who had a great game against the Bears a couple of weeks ago.
Ezra Johnson, certainly the most important man on that front. They lost Butler to the USFL. They lost their 2 nose men, Jones and Turner, early in the season. And Ezra Johnson became the veteran and important guy, and he has 11.5 sacks to lead in that department. Third down, 3 wide receivers for the Bears. Out of the shotgun. The blitz is on. The pass is incomplete, intended for Marjoram. McMahon could hear the footsteps of number 52, George Cumby, blitzing from the outside. Released that ball a little early and behind Kenny Marjoram.
It also looked like he lost control of it. It's really hard to imagine the quarterback being able to throw it all with a glove on where he hasn't got that feel. But there's Ray Stackwitz, the former Packer punter, now punting for the Bears, who had a rough time last week. 2 blocked against the Vikings.
All right, the deep man is Philip Epps, number 85, standing at the Packer 18-yard line. Stackwitz drives it back to the 15. He dropped the ball and wisely just covers it immediately at the Green Bay 16-yard line. And of course, we're seeing early here the problem with the temperatures here and holding on to the football. An early fumble by Payton and the drop by Epps. We'll be right back. Another way to keep himself warm. He's already been into a little verbal altercation with one of the officials. I'm not sure what the issue was, but that's one way to keep yourself warm when it's 3 above 0. Get involved mentally and physically down there. First down for the Packers. Their first offensive possession from the 16-yard line out of the I formation. The give is to Harlan Huckleby, number 25, and Huckleby picks up about 3 to the 20-yard line. Ellis and Meade were the scheduled starters, but Huckleby was the first ball carrier. Lofton and Jefferson are the wide receivers. And Swanke, the rookie, David Drexler, McCarron, Kitson, Cook, and the tight end Paul Kaufman for the Pack offensively. Al Harris and Richard Dent combining on that tackle of Huckleby. It'll be 2nd and 8 for the Green Bay Packers, who must win here today and then get help from either the Rams or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3 wide receivers are in on 2nd down. And the Bears show safety blitz. They get the ball off to Jesse Clark. There's a flag on the play. Gary Fensick came storming up at the last instant. Dickey saw that coming. He got the handoff to Jesse Clark a little hurriedly, and there's a flag on the play. Illegal procedure is the preliminary signal against Green Bay from Red Cashin.
The whole maneuver upset the Packer offense as Fensick timed his blitz perfectly. He came up from the backfield, hit right around the line of scrimmage, and just hit the cadence count. There's number 45. Watch him get right through there. Nobody could get to him, and Mike Singletary gets in on the tackle.
Of the offense, still 2nd down.
Carl Swanke was the player who was illegally proceeding, and it results in a 2-yard loss for the Packers on the play as the Bears decline the penalty. 2nd and 12 for Green Bay. Their season on the line. This is Gary Ellis. Make it Clark, number 33. Jesse Clark, the rookie from Arkansas, been bothered with a turf toe all season long, but has just continued to get better and better. And Lynn Dickey thinks that Bob Schnelker, the offensive coordinator, has had a lot to do with Clark's development, showed a lot of confidence in this young man. And Clark looks like he's going to be a real good one. 3rd and a yard. Dave Dewerson getting the start for the injured Todd Bell at strong safety, made the tackle for the Bears. 3rd and a yard from the Green Bay 27-yard line. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris in frigid air at Lakeside here on the shores of Lake Michigan at Soldier Field. Out of the I formation with a player on the wing in this offensive formation, and straight ahead is Harlan Huckleby, and Huckleby would appear to have picked up the first down. Interestingly, we have not seen Gary Ellis as yet in this game, and one would wonder if perhaps he has an injury that we don't know about. Huckleby and Jesse Clark have been in there in this starting offensive series for Green Bay, and of course Ellis was the guy who really burned the Chicago Bears 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he broke a long one in the first, I think it was the first play from scrimmage for Green Bay, so we'll have to check that out for you as the Packers have gained the first down and have been very strong in the first quarter all season.
The give is to Jesse Clark, and Clark picks up about 4, maybe 5 yards on the play. Mike Hartenstein, number 73, made the tackle. Hartenstein, Osborne, McMichael, and Richard Dent, the rookie from Tennessee State, the offensive front four of the defensive front four of the Chicago Bears. Al Harris starting on the corner. Gary Campbell, of course, came back from his knee injury, had 1 start, but has been bothered with it. So Harris, who has played a little bit of linebacker, is out there on the right side today with Singletary and Wilson. Huckabee and Meade. Now the running backs for Green Bay in a wide close set. They give it to Huckabee. Going up the middle. He's met by Gary Campbell. Loose ball was apparently recovered by the Chicago Bears. And it may be Al Harris who came up with it. And yes, it is Chicago ball at the 35-yard line of Green Bay. So the first turnover of the game is grabbed by Al Harris.
And that's got to be a little bit to the dismay of Bart Starr, as the Packers had a hole there. Huckabee got through there, and there's the hit from the backside, and it's Al Harris who makes the recovery. Number 90 for the Chicago Bears. First break goes to Chicago.
We have a scoreless football game here in the first period. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris and some brave Honey Bears. They're bundled up today, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. They're brave just to be out there doing their thing. Actually, if we could move around like that in the booth, Johnny, we'd stay warmer here.
That's right.
Bears ball at the 35-yard line. Al Harris recovering the fumble by Harlan Huckabee. We expect there will be fumbles and drops today. 3 above 0, 46 below wind chill factor. Play action. McMahon, lots of time. He's got Galt, and it is touchdown, Willie Galt. Well, there may be empty seats here, but there is still a goodly crowd of the Bears faithful, and they have seen McMahon on his first pass attempt of the day hit the rookie Willie Galt for a go-ahead score.
And he was almost the only man downfield, and he was into double coverage. You're going to see him covering from left to right. There's Gray on one side, Lee on the other, and he just went up and out-muscled everybody and made the grab. Willie Galt, who had an 87-yard touchdown pass against the Packers in their last game.
Bob Thomas for the point after, and he has it. And as we called it his first pass of the day, it was his second. He had the incompletion to Marjoram on the opening series. Let's see it again.
Okay, from the ground level, it's going to come right at us as Galt goes down the field and splits the defenders. Lee comes over from the other side, and it was a case of 2-on-1, but Galt just made a super catch. Just went up there and brought it down. Cold or not, gloves or not, he had glue on his fingers on that one as the Bears take the lead over Green Bay 7-0 here early in the first quarter.
Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, where Bob Thomas jumping up and down, trying to stay warm, ready to kick it off for the Chicago Bears, who have taken the lead. And he kicks a ground ball. It rolls to the 25 and is covered immediately by number 64, and that is Sid Kitson, an offensive guard, who doesn't get to touch the ball too often and probably didn't want it in that circumstance. But he got his great bulk on top of it and made sure the Packers keep possession. So Green Bay trailing 7-0, and of course they would like to be in this game that comes up on Monday, December 26th. If not having won the title by the circumstances of the Lions losing, they could still be a wild card and playing Dallas Monday, December 26th, 2 o'clock Eastern time here on CBS Sports. To be the wild card, they need a win by the Rams over the Saints, combined with a victory here today against the Bears. On first down, Dickey wants to throw. Gets it off complete to Kaufman. He's got running room. Kaufman breaks a tackle, still going. Al Harris in pursuit, and he stops him at about the 1-yard line. An official slipped on the turf as they approached the goal line area, and Al Harris pulling Kaufman down from behind. Lynn Dickey to Kaufman has the Packers right back on the doorstep of the Bears.
Well, Lynn Dickey went to the right man. The Bears went into that 46 defense, one of their weird defenses, and they wound up with number 55, Otis Wilson, having to cover the tight end man for man. There's Otis Wilson, 55. He couldn't quite get the job done as Gary Fensick misses the tackle here, goes high, and Kaufman just shucks him off and takes off down the field. And give Al Harris some credit. He's a linebacker, a defensive lineman, and he wound up catching Kaufman before he could get to the end zone. But a great play by Paul Kaufman and the Green Bay Packers. They have a chance to get right back in this football game.
Dickey to Kaufman, 74 yards to play. Dickey trying to sneak over the top. Touchdown. Some of the Bears faithful thought the Chicago Bears had stopped Dickey, but the signal from the official was immediate. He had broken the plane of the goal line with a football.
That's right, Tim. I think he was up and over and then bounced back, but not before that ball had crossed the plane of the goal line. Lynn Dickey. Looks like we might have quite a football game here.
Now that was an impressive play, as the Bears had struck quickly on first down from the Packer 35 following the fumble recovery. Dickey went right to the air on first down. Hit the big 74-yarder, setting up his own touchdown. Jan Stenerud with a point after. And he has it. So the game quickly tied up by the Green Bay Packers, who must win here today to keep any playoff hopes alive. 8:10 remaining in the first quarter. We have a tie score. Packers have tied it up. Lynn Dickey scoring on a 1-yard plunge after the 74-yard pitch to Kaufman. The deep man Duerson, as Garcia will kick it off for the Green Bay Packers. Duerson from the 4-yard line. He's got some running room. Gets out to the 28. There he is, hauled down by number 57 of the Green Bay Packers reserve linebacker Mike Curcio. A score from New Orleans in the Superdome. New Orleans in front of the Rams. Stabler to Jeff Groth. A 1-yard touchdown pass to make it 7-0 for the Saints. And of course, the Packers not pleased with that score. Cleveland in front of Pittsburgh 6-3 in the first period. Cleveland.
They still have a chance for a wild card spot. Cleveland does.
They do. They need a loss by Seattle in their game. We'll keep tracking all of these playoff possibilities as best we can throughout the afternoon. First down for the Bears. Payton trying to find an opening on the corner. There is none, as the Packers defensively string it out extremely well. Johnny Gray and George Cumby forcing him out of bounds. John Anderson, the linebacker, number 59, leading the way. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. Pickup of about 1.5 yards for Payton. It'll be second down just inside the Bears' 30-yard line. 7-7 the score. The Saints leading the Rams 7-0 in the Superdome. Straight ahead, Matt Suhey picks up about 2, trying that soft part of the Green Bay defense. But the last couple of weeks, the Packers have been much improved defensively, as they showed against Chicago and Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Charles Johnson on the stop with Ezra Johnson and Byron Braggs. 3rd down and 5 for Chicago from their 32.
The Packers did a good job the last time they played in shutting down the Bears' running game. They play that 3-4 defense, and they played their linebackers across the line of scrimmage, playing the run tough, and they shut them down pretty good.
3 wide receivers out of the shotgun. McMahon. They hand it off. Suhey, a lot of running room. Suhey forced out of bounds at the 48-yard line of Chicago. A Bears first down. Johnny Gray, the man to hit him, along with Robert Brown, number 93.
Well, a little turnaround by Matt Suhey, a reverse as Payton gets his block, and it was only Johnny Gray and Matt Suhey who's having his finest year as a Chicago Bear, 610 yards rushing, and finally Gray knocks him out of bounds.
17-yard pickup for the young man from Penn State. Last week on an equal number of carries, he actually outrushed the illustrious Walter Payton, his teammate. Suhey with 101 against Minnesota, and Payton had 94. First down. Payton picks a hole and finds his way for about 6 straight ahead to the 41-yard line, 46-yard line of Green Bay. Now for an NFL Today report, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Tim, here is that New Orleans touchdown you reported. The Snake, Kenny Stabler, with all that experience in big games, going to Jeff Groth right down the middle against the Rams, and it's still 7-0. Let's go back to Tim and Johnny.
All right, of course, if New Orleans wins, they will have a wild card berth in the NFL playoff picture, and what a day that would be for Saints fans and Bum Phillips and company. They give us to Suhey on 2nd and 6, and Suhey cannot get around the corner. Mike Douglas, number 53, diving out with a ankle tackle on Suhey and holds him to a gain of about 1 yard.
Good play by Douglas, who played off the block by Walter Payton that time and made the tackle. And 53 Mr. Douglas did a heck of a job, and I hope we can see him here to the right. You're going to see Payton come up and make the contact and not really follow through with his block, and there is Douglas pushing off Payton and then having enough quickness to get out there and make the tackle on Matsui. Michael Douglas, who is back on the football field after that little problem that he had with Bart Starr.
1 game suspension. Osteen and Jolly are in the defensive secondary for the Packers on the passing down, and McMahon gets away from Ezra Johnson and gets the ball off. It'll be incomplete. He had McKinnon as an intended receiver, and Ezra Johnson nearly had himself a sack, but he did bring up 4th down for the Bears.
Well, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Andy Frederick having to move over the left tackle spot and block against Ezra Johnson, and that time Johnson got to the outside of him. They were shoulder to shoulder. He beat the block, and McMahon got away from it, but it's going to force the Bears to punt.
Ray Stakowitz standing at the Chicago 40-yard line. Deep men are Gray and Epps for the Packers. Fair catch signaled by Philip Epps, and a bit risky, but he made the catch at the 25-yard line. So the Packers will start from there when play resumes, and we want to remind you that Christmas time, of course, there is still plenty of sports action on CBS Sports. Christmas Eve, we'll have a college basketball, football doubleheader for you. Boston College, led by Jay Murphy and Michael Adams, against Maryland, featuring Adrian Branch and Ben Coleman, and then followed by football. Once beaten SMU meets high-scoring Alabama in the Sun Bowl from El Paso, Texas. That's all next Saturday, beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Time here on CBS Sports. First down for the Pack. 7-7 the score. Mike Mead going off tackle for a gain of about 5 yards to the 25 to the 30-yard line, pardon me. Mike Mead, the second-year man from Penn State.
Well, let's update you on the Packers and Bears rivalry. The Bears have won 66 games, the Packers 54 and 6 ties, but the Packers have won the last 3 games between these two teams.
Well, they had to go to the final play 2 weeks ago to win that one. John Skinnerud's field goal. The Packers have been involved in 8 cliffhangers this season, 5 of them in overtime. Second down. Dickey has time, and he has Huckabee open. He can't hold the ball. Huckabee was open. The pass was there. Harlan just dropped it. Forgiveness will be a factor today when passes are dropped and fumbles are made.
He did everything right here. He's on Otis Wilson and gives Otis Wilson a move to the outside and then dips to the inside. Wilson was faked completely out, but then Huckabee forgot the most important thing. Catch that football.
Third down coming up for the Packers, and still somewhat of a mystery as to why we have not seen Gary Ellis. They tell us via the word on the sidelines that he has not suffered an injury, but so far Bart Starr has not elected to use him today. Huckabee, Clark, and Mead have been the running backs. This is Mike Mead trying to get around the corner. He's met there by Leslie Frazier, number 21, and stopped short of the first down yardage. Interesting call on third down for the Packers. And 5 to go. They thought they might sneak the run in wide, but the Bears stopped it.
And the key was the hit by Frazier. As they got to the outside of Fensick, you'll see 45 Fensick gets pushed in right there, and he gets to the outside, but Frazier came up and made a big hit because Mead was only a yard or so away from getting the first down, and Frazier took some punishment, but he stopped the first down.
So it'll be Bucky Scribner has been bothered with a thigh injury. The left-footed rookie standing at his own 20-yard line, ready to punt for Green Bay. Dennis McKinnon is the punt returner, and Scribner gets off a fairly good punt, taken by McKinnon at the Bears 28. He's got room up the middle. McKinnon to midfield, and only 2 men were there to stop him. The guy who got him was Paul Kaufman, number 82, and only Scribner remained as McKinnon, who broke a big punt a couple of weeks back, nearly came up with another one.
That's right. He returned one for a touchdown against Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. This time he elected to go right up the middle. Nice, quick moves there. And if it hadn't been for Kaufman, he might have gone a long, long way. Paul Kaufman does it. Ooh, look at his knee get twisted underneath him, boy.
Yes, and he has been helped off, limping. McKinnon will be watching that on the sideline. There he is, number 85, the rookie wide receiver from Florida State. So the Bears have excellent field position right on the 50-yard line. First down, 7-7 the score. 4:17 remaining first quarter. A must-win game for the Green Bay Packers. Suey is stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and it was Mike Douglas, the linebacker, sneaking in behind the line of scrimmage and wrapping him up.
Boy, you want to see quickness by Douglas, number 53. Now, he's over here at the right linebacker. There's 53. Now, look at it. He goes right down the line so quickly that Suey can't even hit the hole before Douglas gets in on the tackle. Good play by Douglas, having a super game so far.
They give him a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9 for Chicago. In Packers territory, the sun a little brighter here, but the temperature's no higher. 3 degrees in Chicago. The blitz. McMahon is dropped by Ezra Johnson. Johnson, coming from his right defensive end position, in a little stunt, came right down the middle and dropped Jim McMahon. The linebacker blitzing on the play couldn't get there ahead of Ezra Johnson.
There's Ezra Johnson coming to the inside. There were 2 linemen on him. He got to the inside of Frederick and got to McMahon before he could even look down the field. Good play by Ezra.
A loss back to the 40-yard line of the Chicago Bears. A 10-yard loss on the play. Make it an 11-yard loss, but it brings up 3rd and 20 for Chicago. Out of the shotgun. McMahon steps up into the pocket and right into a Packer tackler, and that is number 99, Charles Johnson, the nose man. So an inspired Green Bay defensive effort puts the Chicago Bears in another punting situation with 3:06 remaining in the first quarter of play.
Now, number 63, Jay Hilgenberg, is blocking on Johnson. There you can see the matchup. 63, well, he doesn't know that the McMahon's going to go forward in that pocket, and Johnson keeps his eyes open and watches McMahon and makes the sack. So how many sacks is that? They've got 2 in the last 2 plays. I mean, they have 3 for the game, I believe.
And Ezra Johnson has picked up his 12th of the season. Changing the football down there before this punt. It is Stackelwood standing at his 20-yard line. Phillip Epps to the 32-yard line. And Green Bay will start from there. Dennis Gentry making the tackle for the Chicago Bears. Well, Christmas Day, as we told you, we've got a lineup for you Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, it'll be the 46th annual Blue-Gray game here on CBS Sports, 12:30 Eastern Time. Some of the nation's top seniors involved in that. Quarterbacks Boomer Esiason, Tom Tunnicliffe are in that ball game. It'll be followed by NBA action, quite a rivalry. The New Jersey Nets and the New York Knicks. And, of course, last year the Knicks knocked the Nets out of the playoffs, so that's a big rivalry. Lynn Dickey on first down, intended for Kaufman, incomplete. The rush from Steve McMichael, and the pass overthrown. And we now have been told that Gary Ellis apparently does have a bit of a shoulder injury that we didn't know about before the game. That's why he has not appeared so far. They've been going with Meade, Clark, and Huckleby.
You mentioned Steve McMichael, number 76. He's got bare arms there, and he was out before the game, an hour before the game, walking around in a T-shirt.
Well, that's certainly an effective sight job on a day like this, 3 above, and he's playing bare arms. 2nd and 10, Green Bay. Good time for Dickey, and Dickey's pass is incomplete to Phillip Epps. The ball was low. It appeared that Epps had a chance to catch it, but was unable to hold on. Now for another NFL Today report, let's go to Brent Musburger again in New York.
Tim, Eric Dickerson fumbled for the Rams, and the Saints got the ball back leading by 7. But then Jack Youngblood got Stabler in the end zone for a safety, and now it is 7-2, the Saints over the Rams. Let's go back to Chicago and Tim Ryan.
All right, interesting development down on the Superdome, and we'll keep you up to date on that one all afternoon long. Brent Musburger in New York providing those visual details for you. 3rd and 10 here. Dickey again, good protection. He has a man open, and it is juggled and caught by Jesse Clark to the Bears' 35-yard line as Clark stumbled and fell down, but he did the main thing. He held on to the ball.
And the Packers caught the Bears in a situation where they had Singletary, number 50, the linebacker, middle linebacker, going out into the zone there to cover that back out of there. You see 50 at the left of your screen. He's running to the sideline, and then Jesse Clark turned up the field, and look at that ball. Hot potato, but he hung on to it as the Packers are in Bear territory.
30-yard gain on the play. Dickey to Jesse Clark. Green Bay at the Chicago 35. 7-7 the score. 1:49 remaining in the first quarter. Frigid temperatures here at Chicago Soldier Field. More suitable for the Green Bay Penguins than the Chicago Polar Bears today. The pass up the middle, wide open. The fullback, Meade, could not hold the ball. A flag is down on the play.
I think the Bears might have jumped off sides. Meade would have had some running room there had he hung on to the ball.
Well, that is a play that we expected to see some of today. The Packers feel that they can sneak that fullback out there into the middle, and he was wide open. Certainly against that particular Chicago front defensively. The penalty is going to be marked off against the Chicago Bears. 5-yarder to the 30-yard line.
Offside, number 68 on the defense, still first down.
One thing that we're seeing, Tim, is that Lynn Dickey so far has done a masterful job of analyzing that Bear defense. He's going to the right man. Every time he's finding that open man, the man who has got a linebacker man for man, and the man who's dipping out, and he's picking the Bears defense apart so far.
1st and 5. Huckabee and Clark, the running backs. Green Bay has to win here today. Dickey, deep sideline for Jefferson, incomplete. On the coverage, Dave Dewerson. Dickey threw it out of bounds with Steve Michael in pursuit. Well, Denver has already clinched a playoff spot as a wild card. They must be taking the day off in Kansas City because they're down 21-0 in the first quarter. The Chiefs leading Denver 21-0. And Danny Reeves probably got some of his second teamers in there, giving the starters a rest today. We can only assume that may be the case. Schmidt and Potter come into the Bears defense here.
6 defensive backs for the Bears now.
2nd down and 5 for Green Bay at the Bear 30. And they bring 2 of them right up to the line of scrimmage, and now Fensick jumps back. Dickey is sacked.
Well, it's like a game of chess, isn't it? They came up to fake the blitz, and Dickey was trying to call an audible to check off, and they dropped off. The defensive backs dropped back into their coverage, and then Dickey went through with the snap, and they ended up with a 4-man rush plus the linebacker, Mike Singletary, who was in on the tackle, and that's what football is. It's trying to make the move that's right to the weakness of the defense, and that time the defense won the battle.
Singletary and rookie Richard Dent leading the charge, resulting in the sack. 3rd down now and 9. A 4-yard loss on the play. Still in Bears territory. Packers like to keep the football here. Dickey runs out of time, and his pass is low, intended for Huckabee out of the backfield. The charge led by Jim Osborne. Potter had the coverage downfield and a pretty good lick on Lynn Dickey. So it is 4th down for Green Bay. That'll bring on Bucky Scribner. And we have 55 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play at Soldier Field.
Well, the Bears, I'm sure, are a little bit leery because the ball is at the 34-yard line, so they're going to be watching for some kind of possible trick play because the Packers wouldn't have too much to lose if they did try one.
Cover him, Mike!
Scribner angling for the sideline. Bears had a fairly good rush on, and that ball is going to go into the end zone. There was an opportunity for Estes Hood to stop that ball near the goal line, but he didn't quite get to it, and so it turns into a touchback. Now there's that New Orleans and Rams score. The Saints up 7-2. The Rams with a safety to their credit. And Atlanta leading Buffalo 3-0. Of course, Buffalo could be a wild card if they win and Seattle and New England tie and Cleveland loses. So I'd say that's kind of a far out circumstance for them.
Cleveland has a lead over Pittsburgh 9-3 in the first quarter.
Cleveland could be a wild card with a win and a Seattle loss. Seattle at home to New England later. This is Matt Suhey on 1st down, and Suhey running hard has a first down and a gain of about 13 before Ezra Johnson ranged back to make the hit.
And that time, Walter Payton won the battle against Michael Douglas. 53 came up to the inside, and watch Payton, 34, tip him into the inside. That allowed Suey to dip to the outside and turn it up the field. And we're really seeing a trend with the Chicago Bears. Matt Suey is becoming a big part of the offense in the running game, sharing some of the heroics with Walter Payton, with help from Walter Payton.
Well, he points that out all the time. Suey says, you know, obviously everybody knows what a great runner Walter is, but he said what an outstanding blocker he is, and that's the reason why Suey's going so well. So Suey again, and Suey picks up 5 more. Out to the 39-yard line where Cumbie and Scott, the linebackers, 52 and 55, combined to make the tackle there. Time winding down first quarter. 3 above 0 under now totally sunny skies in Chicago. A slick artificial field. St. Louis and Philadelphia winding up their season with the Cardinals leading 7-0 in the second period. 2 teams that'll be watching the playoffs on television.
The Cardinals are 7-1. Remember that tie that they had on Monday night, that terrible football game that they blew? They ended up with a tie, and that put them out of a chance right now to be in the wild card.
He's one of the many Bear faithful, and you got to applaud these people. They should be applauding themselves as well as their team out there today just for being here. 3 above 0. The best the Bears can do is get their season to 8-8. Walter Payton skipping and dancing around, nowhere to go. Flags are down. George Cumbie, number 52, made the tackle. The Packers did an excellent job of stringing that out the left side with Douglas and Scott and Ezra Johnson all in on the action with Cumbie making the hit.
They may have called a holding penalty on Keith Van Horn, number 78, on that play. It is against the Bears. I'd guess there's 45,000 maybe out here. That's not bad on 3 degrees.
Oh boy,
it's just like Green Bay, up in Green Bay. No matter how cold it gets, everybody shows up for the game.
Yes, I remember a similar day there a few years back.
Holding during the run. Number 78 on the offense. Penalty is declined. It's third down.
The holding call is against Van Horn, and it's declined by Green Bay. You can remember standing down on the field during the opening of our telecast, holding a piece of frozen turf at Lambeau Field. Today, very much like today. Osteen and Jolly come in as we show you the faithful here at Soldier Field. Well, I know they're cold because I am. I'm up trying to keep the feet together here. McKinnon, Marjoram, and Galt, the wide receivers on 3rd and 8. Walter Payton met at the line of scrimmage, and the Packers shut him down. It'll be 4th down. So Green Bay, which has put together 2 fine defensive efforts in a row the last 2 weeks after a much maligned and well-deserved maligned season of injuries contributing to their problems. They are still last in the entire league defensively, but they have been tough through the first period here when they have to be.
That was an interesting refusal of a penalty, too, because 3rd and 8 is not all that far, and they declined the 10-yard penalty, and it paid off for them.
Stackowitz punt, taken by Epps at the 22. He's got running room down the sideline, and he slipped on that very slippery turf. Went down at the 33-yard line of Green Bay. Bashnagel there to cover him. And so the Packers will have the football with fairly good field position and a tie score here early. In the second quarter, the Bears rushed for 63 yards, the Packers for 32. McMahon was 1 for 3 and 35 yards passing for Chicago. Lindicki was 2 of 7, 106 yards passing for Green Bay. Of course, he had the 74-yarder to Kaufman that set up the Green Bay score. First down for the Pack at their own 33-yard line. Pitch out is to Huckabee. Huckabee trying to get wide. Al Harris reaches out and hauls him down after a gain of a yard. Well, of course, you know that Green Bay still alive here to win the division, also in the wild card mix with San Francisco, the Rams, and New Orleans. And you know that New Orleans is leading LA 7-2 down at the Superdome. San Francisco plays Monday night against Dallas. So Dallas, which is already in and will be the other wild card, will meet one of those teams in our game on Monday, December 26th on CBS Sports. Second down and 9. Huckabee cuts it inside nicely and picks up about 8 yards. He'll be just about a yard, maybe a half yard short Mike Hartenstein made the tackle for the Bears.
Good block by 64 Sid Kitson on the trap. He comes across here and hits Mike Singletary and buries Singletary, and that allows the run to break up the middle. I was thinking about Dallas, a wild card. How would you like? They could end up 13-3 and be a wild card.
Wouldn't it be something if they lost to the other wild card, which will not have a record anywhere approaching that. Nonetheless, Bart Starr would take that opportunity, or the opportunity to go into the playoffs as the Central Division champion. Huckabee has the first down at the 45-yard line. Harlan Huckabee, the man from Michigan, came out of the Canadian Football League as a free agent in 1980. He's been a very fine contributor. Of course, the Packers, Eddie Lee Ivory, figured to be their main running back, had his own personal problems this past season, and now they say that if Ivory can get himself in shape, and should the Packers be in a postseason game, they would like to have Ivory back in their lineup. Denver has gotten on the board against Kansas City. It is 21-3. Field goal by the Broncos in that game. Kansas City in front. First down, Green Bay. Mike Mead is stopped right at the line of scrimmage for no gain as 3 dark-shirted Bears were there, led by Hartenstein, number 73, Singletary, number 50, Otis Wilson, number 55.
Mike Singletary's been in on a lot of tackles, and he was just elected to the NFC Pro Bowl team for the Bears. He's going to be the starting middle linebacker as you look at Mike Hartenstein. Walter Payton also made it for the Bears. For the Packers, I think it was Lofton, Kaufman made it. Larry McCarron.
Second and 11.
There's the blitz.
Intended for Jefferson. It's complete. One defender there, and he hauls him down. Terry Schmidt. Well, that could have been touchdown for Green Bay, but he gets him a first down at the Bears' 35.
Lynn Dickey beat the blitz. You'll see 45 Fensick, everybody else coming. Singletary and Dickey. The automatic conversion just throws it down to Jefferson, and it was Terry Schmidt on the coverage, and had he been able to avoid Schmidt there, he would have had the touchdown. But it was a nice adjustment by the Green Bay Packers as they beat the Bear blitz.
So first down for Green Bay at the Chicago 35. 7-7 to score, 10:41 remaining in the first half of play, and the blitz is on, and they have got it. Jim Osborne made the tackle. Dent was right behind him. Actually, I don't even think they had a linebacker coming on the play. They did not. The down lineman got him all by themselves.
Right, there was Al Harris is in there, who's a little bit of everything, as the Bear defensive line just beat the Packer offensive line on that play, and down went Dickey. The Bears had 47 sacks going into this football game, so they aren't slouches when it comes to rushing the passer, especially the second half of the season.
Second down and 18 for the Packers. Big defensive play there for Chicago. Jefferson, Epps, and Lofton, 3 wide receivers. Dickey into traffic. It's intercepted. Mike Richardson. And they roll him down back where he caught the football at the 35. I'm not sure a Packer got a hand on him.
Yes, I think there was contact as he made the interception. There was contact and he went down, and I think the call is a good one. The Chicago Bears do have the football, however, as this time Dickey threw it into some double coverage.
4th interception of the season for rookie Mike Richardson out of Arizona State.
There's Richardson, who fell down and actually got back into the play here, and you can see what happened. There were 2 Bears and only 1 Packer there, and there was contact when he made the interception, but it is Chicago Bears football.
On the Bears sideline, they've got heaters down there, of course, and frostbite is a very serious concern for the teams and the fans here today. That was one of the big heaters. That was a problem in that game in Cincinnati in 1981. Several players and fans treated for frostbite. Could have it here. Payton finds a good hole and picks up a first down. Excellent blocking by the Bears on that play. Scott made the tackle, number 55. Gain of 11 for Walter Payton.
That's right, and you're going to see the left tackle pulls. You'll see 71. You'll see Frederick out here as he comes up and then turns up the field, and Payton cuts back behind the action and gets some good yardage. Walter Payton, who had 1,273 yards going into today's game. is about 400 yards behind Franco Harris and in chasing Jimmy Brown's record. He also has 50 pass receptions. So Peyton's having his finest years. You look at Cleveland now, 16-3 over Pittsburgh.
Of course, Pittsburgh already in there. Cleveland trying to make it in a wild card spot. So that's a big game for them. There's a breakthrough by Peyton for another first down. Close to the 40-yard line of Green Bay, tripped up by John Anderson. Good blocking out the left side of the Bears line that time. Remember, Jimbo Colbert out with a knee injury. It's Frederick and Van Horn at tackle.
As Peyton just followed Emery Moorhead, who came in motion, and good blocking by the left side of the line. Walter Payton now starting to pile up the yardage.
So the Bears on the move on the ground. This is something Mike Ditka wanted to do today. They have been a good rushing team. Peyton is now up to 47 yards on the day.
He keeps hiding that hand inside his trousers to keep it warm.
First down, Bears. Peyton again fakes the throw. And on the corner, there's nowhere to go, but with sheer muscle and effort, picks up about 3. There was a flag down on the play. Bears with the number 3 rushing offense in the entire National Football League. And that time it looks like a illegal motion call against the Bears. So Peyton's 4-yard gain will be negated. We have 8:25 remaining in the first half. Bears are now up to 89 yards rushing on 16 carries.
And Peyton has 47 and 9 carries, so that's a little over 5 yards per carry.
Illegal motion by the offense. Offense not set for a full second. Still first down.
Well, they got to be set for a second before the action begins. The Bears line was not. It'll be 1st and 15 back at the 46-yard line now of the Green Bay Packers. 3 spots remain to be decided for the NFC playoff picture with 5 teams alive. 1 spot remaining in the American Conference, one of the wild card spots. 4 teams vying for that. All on this final day on Monday night. Pitch out to Peyton. Peyton this time wants to throw and does. Lobs it up, intended for McKinnon. It is intercepted at the 20-yard line by Lewis, the rookie. And Lewis brings it upfield. Lewis to the 45-yard line of the Chicago Bears, where Jay Saldi hauled him down. So Walter Payton, who has been a premier passer to this game, coughs up his first interception of the season, and the Packers are in Bear territory.
Well, it looks like as he was pointing to his hand, he lost control, but this was kind of an ill-advised throw because there was coverage down the field. He never really got much on the ball. But a lot of times, they've had 3 touchdowns from Peyton throwing the ball, but he doesn't have the experience of when not to throw it and when to throw it. And, of course, Lewis was the man on the spot here. Jim McMahon tries to get in on the tackle, but Johnny Gray really annihilates McMahon out of the situation, and the Packers have the ball. We're getting all kinds of turnovers.
So Walter Payton, defensive back Tim Lewis from Pittsburgh, who got to become a starter when Mike McCoy was injured, has played awfully well for the Packers, and he has come up with the interception, a rather easy one. Payton threw it right at him, but Tim Lewis did the job and took the ball to the Chicago 45-yard line, where the Packers have the ball. A tie football game. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris here, 3 above 0 in Soldier Field. Huckleby gets to the 45-yard line of scrimmage and dove for about 1 yard with Dave Duerson, number 22, slicing in to upset him. So it'll be 2nd and 9 for the Packers. Schmidt comes into the Bears secondary. And out of the lineup comes the linebacker Otis Wilson. 2nd and 9. Green Bay with 7:32 remaining in the first half, 7-7. The Packers in a must-win situation here. Bears playing for that old thing called pride and a 500 record. Looked like there might have been early action. Dickey got the pass off with 2 Bears right on his back. He did a good job to get it away. McMichael and Dent were both all over him. And there was no flag evidently, but it looked like the Bears got a terrific jump on the ball there, Johnny.
Yeah, they timed the pass rushes. There was some confusion there, and you can see Singletary and Richard Dent both in there, mostly Singletary, number 50, and Dickey did a good job of just getting rid of the ball.
Sure did. 3rd down and 9 for Green Bay. Still at the Bears 45. So they've got to do something on this play to take advantage of Lewis's interception. Otherwise, they'll be punting again. They're showing all kinds of activity defensively. Sideline pass intended for Jefferson, incomplete. Gary Schmidt on the coverage, and Dent and McMichael again in on the rush, and so the Packers fail to move it after picking off the Payton pass. Scribner will be in to punt.
Lynn Dickey, who has thrown for over 4,000 yards, and there's only been 5 other quarterbacks that have ever done that. 30 touchdown passes, however 25 interceptions. Of course, you throw the ball that much, you're going to get some INTs.
Dickey is 3 for 11, 128 yards, 1 interception. Scribner. Short punt, takes a Bears bounce and is down by number 62, Jim Laughlin, reserve linebacker, and the Bears will have it at their own 21-yard line when we return. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. Sunny skies but frigid temperatures along the lakefront in Chicago. 3 above 0, 46 below wind chill factor. There does seem to be a little bit more of a breeze here in Chicago than there was at kickoff time. First down for the Bears to give us to Payton. Payton coming back to the right side, gains 5 yards to the 25. Randy Scott, number 55, the 3-year man from Alabama, made the tackle. Mike Ditka said his return after a knee injury has made a huge difference to the Green Bay defensive squad. Cleveland leading Pittsburgh 16-10 in the second period. And Atlanta in front of Buffalo 10-0. Cleveland and Buffalo still with opportunities to make the playoffs, slender ones at that. This one meaningless in terms of the playoff picture. Kansas City leading Denver. Denver already in. Second down and 5. Payton again. Payton has a good hole and has a first down. Picking his way out to the 38-yard line. Randy Scott again on the tackle, and also Byron Braggs. Ezra Johnson also there. So Payton getting a lot of work here in the last 2 offensive series for the Bears. 6:02 to go first half. We had a couple of big plays back in the first period. A 74-yard pass to Kaufman that led to Dickey's 1-yard plunge for the Green Bay score. And then we had, of course, McMahon to Galt opening the scoring on a 35-yard touchdown pass. But that's been it. McMahon, he has Marjoram was open, but then a good recovery by Mark Lee, number 22, to come in and get a hand on the ball. Mark Lee had 2 interceptions on Monday night against Tampa Bay and recovered nicely there, as Marjoram, when the McMahon threw the ball, was an open target.
It looked like it was going to be a completion. McMahon has cut down his interceptions the second half of the season. I think in his first 6 games, he's had 9 interceptions. The last 6, he's only had 2. So that's been a positive sign for McMahon.
It's 11 on the season. And that's certainly in the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the entire league in that category. Second and 10, McKinnon in motion. They pitch it to Payton, trying the right side, and the Packers shut it down after a gain of about 3. Cumbie, number 52, made the initial contact, and John Anderson, number 59, who is always around that football, certainly when it's on his side of the field and often when it's on the other. He is an outstanding and very steady linebacker for the Packers.
And he overcame several broken arms to become a player in this league. I think he broke it 3 times.
Mike Ditka, he wants this win. He doesn't care if it's a playoff situation for the Bears or not. I know that getting to 8-8 does not make you the coach of the year, but on the other hand, it is 500. That's better than a losing season. Time winding down, and they just get it off in time. 30-second clock almost expiring. Peyton gets to the 40-yard line. That will be short of the first down by about 2.5 yards. Anderson and Tim Lewis combining on the tackle. So Chicago will have to punt. They've been able to run it somewhat, but they haven't been able to produce enough first downs with it as the Packers again bring up a punting situation. Stakowitz at the Chicago 25-yard line. Phillip Epps at the Packer 25. A lot of jumping around here by the punting team as the Packers, no doubt trying to duplicate Minnesota's success at blocking Stakowitz's punts. Good kick. Loose ball. Recovered by the Packers. Tim Lewis. Lewis up the sideline. One man to beat. Tackled from behind by number 57 of the Bears, David Simmons. Well, on a day like today, strange things can happen.
Well, the Green Bay Packers had the rabbit's foot in their pocket that time because the ball is jolted loose. Actually, he fumbled before he was hit there.
Yes, he did.
By Dennis Gentry, and there's Lewis who just makes a little one-handed snap, and all of a sudden there were a whole bunch of Green Bay Packers over on that side of the field, and he had to pick it just like he tried and set up on the normal punt return, and he almost went all the way, and finally it was Stakowitz and number 57.
Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons.
That was a 40-yard punt, and certainly not a bad one for Stakowitz. A 47-yard return, however, for Green Bay. An alert rookie, Tim Lewis, fielding that ball off the fumble and taking it all the way to the Bears' 33-yard line. So Green Bay, down here just moments ago and unable to do anything with it, find themselves back again.
The 30-second clock is no longer official. 30 seconds will be kept by the field judge. Turn the 30-second clock off.
3:50 remaining in the first half, and Red Cashin indicating that things are cold enough here to perhaps have fouled up the clock. The 30-second clock is not working properly, and so they will keep that with handheld watches on the sideline. And it'll be first down when we resume. The Packers get an extra huddle here with that official timeout. Bart Starr bundled up on the sideline along with everybody else, and hoping this time the Packers can produce something offensively in their territory. Mike Meade, Singletary pops him at the line of scrimmage. Richard Dent, Otis Wilson. Osborne, number 68 there as well. A gain of a yard for Mike Meade. And we have yet to see Ellis, and so obviously the shoulder injury for Ellis such that he's just not able to go today, at least thus far. Three wide receivers on second, and a long 8 for Green Bay. Slot formation left and a wide pro set. Dickey, he's got a man open. Lofton, touchdown! Lofton and Mike Richardson got tangled up down that sideline, and Lofton recovered and made the catch for the score. The Packers, who have to win here today, have gone back in front. Or in front for the first time, I should say, as the Bears had opened the scoring.
James Lofton, who averages 22.3 yards per carry with the touchdown, and as you said, they got a little bit tangled up, but Dickey put it right down there. There's Bart Starr looking at his short list for the next touchdown. Huh?
Well, be prepared. Jan Stenerud has the point after. So Green Bay leads it 14-7, 3:05 remaining first half.
Okay, the key here was not letting any of the Chicago Bears get through. There wasn't too much pressure as Dickey put it up and over, and you're going to pick it up after the feet tangle, and the pass was just perfect, and Lofton brought it in. One-on-one coverage that time for James Lofton, who doesn't get that too often.
Green Bay on a 31-yard touchdown strike from Dickey to Lofton leads 14-7. Garcia will kick it off. He kicks the ground ball. It's fielded by the linebacker Cabral at the 30-yard line, and Cabral holds onto the ball and gets to the 34, where he's tackled by Johnny Gray, number 24 of the pack. So pretty good field position to start with here for the Chicago Bears with 2:58 remaining first half. And again, if you are not a devoted Green Bay Packer fan and are wondering what the circumstances are for Green Bay to win the division, if they win here today and Detroit loses later today against Tampa Bay at Detroit, Green Bay would win the NFC Central and be in the playoff picture. They can also win a wild card spot, but they must win here over the Bears. And if Detroit beats Tampa Bay and the Rams beat New Orleans, then the Packers would be in a wild card position. Those are their circumstances. McMahon on first down, eluding the rush of Braggs, but is dropped now by Charles Johnson, number 99. The initial pressure from Byron Braggs, the 3-year man from Alabama who inherited the spot of Mike Butler on the left defensive end when he defected to the USFL.
And you have to give a lot of credit to George Cumbie. He got back in that deep zone and discouraged McMahon from throwing a pass down the field to Willie Galt. And then here comes as McMahon tries to get out of the pocket, Johnson with the tackle.
McMahon did pick up 3 yards scrambling, and it is 2nd and 7. 2:18 to play first half. Straight drop from McMahon. He has time and intended for McKinnon, cannot hold on. Both McKinnon and Moorhead were open downfield. McKinnon cannot hold the football. Well, look at this. The Rams have scored to go ahead of New Orleans 9-7. That's good news for Packer fans and bad news for Bum Phillips and company. The Saints cannot win their division. They can only win a wild card. They've got to win that football game today in order to make the playoffs.
Ironically, the Rams could win and still not make it, couldn't they?
Well, if you're going to ask that question, you're going to have to answer it. Brown and Boyd have come in defensively for a 4-man front here on 3rd down. McMahon forced out of the pocket by Brown. Completes the pass over the 50-yard line to Willie Galt. And a first down for Chicago. Good effort by McMahon and Galt. McMahon scrambling and Galt getting open. Johnny Gray made the tackle. First down in Packer territory at the 49.
And as it happens so often, McMahon is so much more effective when he is forced out of the pocket. This time Brown puts the rush on him, 93, and McMahon gets out of the pocket, finds his receiver, and the Bears get a first down out of it.
Galt goes out to the left. His second catch of the day. First down for Green Bay. McKinnon for Chicago. McKinnon's to the right side, intended for McKinnon, and it is broken up by number 37, Mark Murphy, who got a hand on the ball intended for McKinnon. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in New York and see that Rams score.
Tim, here it is. It's a punt return by Henry Ellard of the Rams for the touchdown. Now, Russell Erxleben pulled a muscle punting. He gets up and attempts to make the tackle. Ellard cuts inside. Erxleben could be out for the game. The Rams lead 9-7. Back to Tim and Johnny.
Big play for the Rams. Of course, a victory for them would give them the division championship. We'll be back here with the 2-minute warning. Down and 10 for the Chicago Bears at the 49-yard line of Green Bay. 1:58 remaining in the first half. The Packers lead it 14-7. McMahon has time and completes it to Moorhead. Henry Moorhead, the tight end, number 87. A gain of about 8 for Chicago. John Anderson on the tackle. Now here's this situation involving teams who, by winning, control their own destiny in this final weekend in the NFL. San Francisco, a victory Monday night would give them the NFC West title. Detroit, with a victory over Tampa Bay later today, would give them the Central title. New Orleans, with a victory over the Rams, would be a wild card. And Seattle, with a victory at home over New England later, would be a wild card in the AFC. And of course, if the Rams were to win that game today, they still need a San Francisco loss on Monday night. There is Walter Payton going to the left on 3rd down, and he has the first down. When he can see the marker, and he only needs 2 or 3, you can almost count on Payton finding a way to get the first down. Number 44, Dwayne Osteen, in on the tackle for the Packers. First down for the Chicago Bears. John Anderson, number 59, as usual, around the ball. Timeout has been called. with 1:43 on the clock. And so Jim McMahon will talk it over with Mike Ditka and company here.
I'm not sure yet who called that timeout, but it was probably the Bears, I would assume.
I would, yes, that has been confirmed. And of course, the Bears trailing 14-7, trying to get things tied up here and force this into a 30-minute football game.
Mike Ditka, recall looking at his short list, he's a man who has a terrific injury also. As you look at Bart Starr, Mike Ditka is probably going to need corrective hip surgery during the offseason. He has a very bad hip from his old football days, and sometimes he can hardly walk.
Bart Starr hoping his defense, which has played well in this first half, and shut down the Bears in this final 1:43 of the first half. Out of the shotgun, McMahon stepped up into the pocket. He's got a man open, Payton. Payton cannot get to the marker. Osteen drives him out. It'll be a gain of about 8 yards for Payton, but he stops the clock with 1:36 remaining first half, and the ball now at the Packer 29. 14-7. Dickey touchdown pass to Lofton, sending Green Bay in front after Dickey had scored from the 1-yard line following his 74-yard pass to Kaufman back in the first half. And McMahon open to scoring with a pass to Willie Galt from 35 yards out. Bears have not been able to move it consistently throughout this first half against an inspired Green Bay defense, knowing that the season is on the line here today. Cold or no cold, out of the shotgun on 2nd and a yard and a half. He's got lots of time. Intended for McKinnon, and it is intercepted by Mike Jolly, number 21, in the end zone. The pass was overthrown, intended for McKinnon, and Jolly just reins back there and played like Willie Mays.
As it happened, just as McMahon threw the football, McKinnon, who was going towards the sidelines, was going up, then cut to the sidelines, trying to help McMahon out. So there was a misconnection on it, and it was overthrown. Mike Jolly jumped on the interception and stopped the Bear drive. Not too much pressure. He's looking for the man, and he thought McMahon was going to go. He thought that McKinnon was going to go straight up, and McKinnon had just cut towards the sideline. So Jolly was the man on the spot. The Packers stop a big drive and will probably, well, there's 1:28 left in the game. Let's see how they handle this in the
half. Bring it out to the 20-yard line. Dickey's going to throw on first down. For Kaufman, complete. Paul Kaufman trying to break the tackle, gets out to the 40-yard line as he was stopped by Mike Richardson, and timeout is called by Green Bay with 1:18 remaining in the first half of play. The second interception by the Packers, one on Walter Payton, one on McMahon, and a big one for Green Bay, stopping Chicago's bid to tie things up.
And you're going to see number 50, Mike Singletary, trying to cover Kaufman out there as they go into that zone coverage, and Kaufman got a step on Singletary, and it was Richardson who had to bring him down. And the Packers not going to settle for a 14-7 lead. They're going for it. They'd certainly like to have a 21-7 lead, wouldn't they? Or at least another 3 points.
1:18, and of course Dickey and company are just excellent in this situation. They're one of the best 2-minute offenses in the entire NFL, and this cold weather doesn't seem to be impeding their progress.
Big game for Bart Starr. A lot of people think in many ways. There's a lot of speculation that if the Packers lose and don't make the playoffs, that Bart Starr's job could be on the line.
Well, they say that about every week. Every time the Packers lose, that seems to be the situation. Apparently, there is a meeting of the committee that runs the Packers next week, early next week, and his fate could be well decided at that time. Coming up at halftime, the NFL Today, Brenton Erb will bring you that whole playoff picture, and our feature today on the former Cardinal tight end star Jackie Smith. First down, Green Bay from the 39-yard line. Dickey in a straight drop, has got lots of time, up the middle, complete. That is Jefferson, number 83, dropped the ball. Has it been whistled dead? Bears have the football. Leslie Frazier picked up the loose ball, but it is being signaled down. It is being signaled down.
And there is was Jefferson saying, yes, I was down. He wanted to make sure the officials didn't make a mistake.
Number 63, Ligori Haggerty, made the call of the play being down at the 48-yard line of Chicago, and the hurry-up offense underway is under a minute. Dickey to Jefferson. Out of the slot formation. Flag is down. Dickey intended for the fullback need. Singletary was right on top of him. Dickey threw it to him anyway. It's incomplete.
I don't think it makes too much difference because, if I'm not mistaken, I think Carl Swanke might have moved the left tackle a little bit too soon. Dropped off for his pass blocking.
Dickey 7 out of 14 for the first half. 44 seconds on the clock with time stopped. 14-7, the Packer lead. Atlanta now leading Buffalo 17-0, and of course Buffalo with just very slender hopes to stay alive in the playoff picture. And they're trailing 17-0, so those chances are considerably more diminished as they march it off against Green Bay here at Soldier Field.
Number 67 on the offense, still first down.
Our guy Johnny Morris spotted Carl Swanke, number 67, illegally in motion. First and 15, back to the 47-yard line of the pack. Whole toe time. Soldier Field. They're showing blitz. Dickey gets pretty good protection off it though, but he hands it right to, or pitches it right to Mike Richardson. Dickey is intercepted by Mike Richardson. The ball stripped back by the Packers, but it will be Chicago ball as Richardson was ruled down. Lofton making the tackle. I believe he was the intended receiver.
And this is very similar. Dickey tried to just dump the ball quickly when he saw that, all-out blitz. And Richardson, number 27, just came in there as Lofton went down on the play, and Richardson got the interception. That wasn't Lofton, was it? It was Jefferson.
So the Bears come up with another interception.
Well, my words got frozen as I was coming on my mouth.
That's understandable. Mike Richardson with the second kickoff of the day. 36 seconds remaining. The Bears at their own 45. So they've got some time. McMahon rolls to his left and slips and is dropped. The feet went right out from under him, and Ezra Johnson made sure he did not get up. 30 seconds on the clock. Now they start the clock again as the teams are lined up and ready to play, and McMahon out of the shotgun for Suey. That's complete for a gain of about 5. Packers keep them inbound, so the Bears call timeout immediately with 16 seconds on the clock. Anderson made the tackle. Bears have 1 timeout remaining with 16 seconds to play in the first half. Mike Richardson's second interception of the half, giving them an opportunity to try and make something happen, but they're at their own 40-yard line. Now, what do they do here, Johnny?
Well, they're going to try and complete one, get down into the field goal range. Look at that helmet on McMahon. The thing is big. It's almost over his eyes, it looks like.
Well, they've got those little kind of hoods on underneath. Most of the Bears are wearing those today in this very cold environment at Soldier Field. And maybe he had to put on a bigger helmet to get it over the over that balaclava.
3rd down and 15.
Mike Richardson with a pair of interceptions for Chicago. Tim Lewis picked one off for the...
He's got 3 receivers over here now.
The Packers.
Tim. So they're showing the old alley-oop type pass. The guy to watch maybe would be Moorhead.
And has some time now, rolling to his right, gets out of bounds with 9 seconds on the clock. Did not find anybody open downfield, so he headed for the sideline to make sure that he could at least stop the clock. 9 seconds remaining.
And it's 4th down, I believe. So the Bears bring out the punter.
surprised that Ditka wouldn't chuck it here. Figure why not go for it on what should be the last play of the half. And maybe feeling that something bad could happen. So Stakowitz standing at the Bears' 24-yard line. Maybe something bad could happen to Green Bay is another thought for Ditka, but Epps is going to make sure that that doesn't occur. He just lets the ball roll to the 20-yard line, and that'll bring the second half here. The Bears will kick it off. Second half here. The Bears will kick it off to our left. The Packers will receive with Philip Epps waiting for it at the 5-yard line, and Thomas kicks it off. Green Bay leads it 14-7. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris here at Soldier Field. Loose ball. It's Huckleby, number 25, and he picks it up and gets out to the 14-yard line. Arlen Huckleby fielding that ball and getting it to the 14 without mishap. The Packers will start from deep in their own end to begin the second half. Green Bay, a victory here over the Bears. A Detroit loss later today against Tampa Bay would give them the division title. Or if they win here today, Detroit wins their ball game, they could still make it as a wild card if the Rams beat the Saints. So those are the conditions for the Packers as they begin their final 30 minutes of football, barring overtime, and they've been there 5 times this season. First down. Dickey. Mike Meade with a good second effort. He stumbled and then wound up picking up about 5 yards. Hartenstein and Singletary made the tackle for the Chicago Bears. Well, a couple of weeks ago in we're in Green Bay. Let's take a look at the score first. The Rams defeated leading New Orleans 16-7 in the third quarter now. So the Rams have opened their lead somewhat. Gary Campbell has come in as an extra linebacker on 2nd and 6. Dickey getting time and is picked up by Fensick. Gary Fensick. He saw that one all the way. It was intended for the tight end Kaufman, but Fensick was in full stride as that ball was in the air, and Fensick takes it all the way down to the 25-yard line. Third interception of the day for the Chicago Bears.
Gary Fensick, who is making his presence known since he came back into the lineup. He missed 10 weeks of the season as Dickey's forced out of the pocket and then throws back against the grain. And there was Gary Fensick. I think that pass was actually thrown for Lofton as Fensick made the interception and then stepped out of bounds. So the Bears are deep in Packer territory at the 24.
A big early break here in the second half for the Chicago Bears. The 24-yard line of Green Bay. Suey and Payton, the running backs. Payton in motion. Pitch out Suey. Gets a block from Payton. Douglas played off the block and made the initial hit. Got help from Cumbie, but not before a 6-yard pickup and a flag down on the play.
The holding penalty against the Chicago Bears. That's a key penalty.
Well, they will march it off against the Bears. Umpire Red Cashin. We are informed that in that Rams
holding during the run, number 78 on the offense, still first down.
Van Horn called for holding, and Mike Ditka not happy with that as the Bears, of course, get the turnover and then take an immediate penalty. In the Rams-Saints game, Ken Stabler has been hurt in that game and is currently not in the ball game. We'll try and get a further report on that. Suey, straight ahead. Matt Suey. It's out to the 30, make it the 28-yard line of Green Bay. Mike Douglas on the tackle. So Suey got back about 8 of that.
A gain of 7.
10-yard penalty. It'll be second and a long 12 for the Chicago Bears with the ball spotted at just inside the 28-yard line.
The Bears have 2 tight ends in now. Jay Saldi and Emery Moorhead are both in with the 1 wide receiver who is Galt.
Galt wide to the left, Moorhead in the slot left. Now in motion back toward the ball. Play action. McMahon rolling has lots of time, but he can't find an open man. Goes out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Bears had one man deep in the end zone, Willie Gault. Now for another NFL Today update, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Tim, here's the report on Ken Stabler. The Rams are all over him in a passing attempt. The pass is intercepted by Johnson. He goes in for the touchdown. Stabler suffered a knee injury on the play. He's out of the game right now, and Dave Wilson is now quarterbacking the Saints. Let's go back to Tim and Johnny.
But a tough break for the Saints and their fans. Game Kenny Stabler. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in that one before it's over. He's played with numerous injuries over his illustrious career, but now the pressure is on young Dave Wilson in that game. The Bears, 3rd and 12. Give to Payton. Excellent defense by the Green Bay Packers. Anderson, Tim Lewis, Mark Lee, everybody stringing it out and not letting Payton back upfield. It'll bring up 4th down. Payton wound up picking up about 6 yards with his own effort, but it is still 4th at the 22-yard line.
And Ditka tried to cross up the Packers with a run on a 3rd and 12 situation, and it didn't work out as Bob Thomas is going to go for the field goal. There's a Packer down on the field, or he's up now, but he is not in very good condition.
Looks like Byron Braggs, number 73. They don't have a lot of depth along their defensive front, so an injury to any of those starters is a problem. Ron Spears also coming into the game with a neck injury is one of their 4 down linemen, so they're short one back up already. It'll be Greg Boyd, number 72, coming in to replace Braggs. Been a tough year for the Packer defensive line injury-wise, and that led to them being last in the NFL in defense. But today, as last week against Tampa Bay, 2 weeks ago against Chicago, they have really played well defensively, playing with a lot more confidence. So Braggs being helped off. That's the delay here for Bob Thomas, strolling around trying to keep warm, which is not easy in Chicago today. 13 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Well, this is a number we've been waiting for, eh, Johnny?
Well, tickets sold 65,000. People here 35,000. Almost 30,000 no-shows. Of course, there's a little bit of an excuse.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
How about a round of applause for the 35,000 who are here? They deserve a free ticket to a game next year. Oh boy. Thomas's field goal try. It is wide to the left. Thomas wide to the left on a 38-yard field goal attempt. So the score remains the Green Bay Packers 14, the Chicago Bears 7. Well, a word on Kenny Stabler, a sprained knee, which will keep him out of action for the time being in that game at the Superdome in New Orleans. It is Packer ball here at Soldier Field on the missed field goal from 38 yards by Thomas. 1st down, Green Bay. Dickey has time, has popped and complete. 1st down, Packers to their own 45-yard line. Dave Duerson on the tackle.
Well, he got inside position on Duerson. A good play by Dickey. Puts it to the left side there, and Duerson couldn't do anything from the backside, playing strong safety, covering Paul Kaufman. As you know, Duerson has been mostly playing free safety, and that's a tough job. Paul Kaufman.
1st down, Packers at the 45-yard line. They lead 14-7 in a must-win situation for them. Dickey deep for Lofton, and it is just overthrown. Again, Lofton one-on-one with Richardson. Dickey just a little bit long.
Here comes a frisbee out on the football field. Well, it came back. People are throwing frisbees. Well, that's the kind of a situation the Packers wanted. James Lofton one-on-one with anybody, and they got the one touchdown, and that time almost another.
2nd and 10, Green Bay. From their 45, Al Harris comes in. Otis Wilson goes out for the Bears defensively. The back sends the play in with Epps. Epps goes wide to the right. Lofton wide left. Jefferson in the slot. One running back. Packers have not used Gary Ellis at all today. This is Jesse Clark. Clark gets around the corner. Jesse Clark with a turn of speed down to the 41-yard line. Nice play by the Packers. Dewerson forced him out.
Well, that's a key little pitch out there as they caught everybody else inside, and Clark got to the outside of Al Harris and got the first down. Big play for the Packers.
Another Packer first down. They're at the 43-yard line of Chicago. 7th-round pick from Arkansas. Been bothered with a turf toe, as we mentioned earlier, through much of the season, but he is an excellent prospect for the future of the Packers. 12:05 remaining in the third quarter. Packers lead at 14-7. A rush from McMichael. Dickey gets it away, then takes the hit. The ball goes out of bounds. Lofton in the general area over there against Richardson again, but Dickey just got that one out of there once the protection broke down.
It was Steve McMichael. Mike Hartenstein put the pressure on Dickey, and he did a good job of just getting the ball away and getting it out of bounds because there were all kinds of dark jerseys, and I think that was Hartenstein who got that last hit on him.
Second down. Remember, the Detroit game has a later start today. They're at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so the Packers, no matter what they do here this afternoon, are going to have to wait to see what develops in that contest. Right now, they're getting help from the Los Angeles Rams in New Orleans. Second down. Intended for Epps. He never saw the ball. Dickey threw it a little earlier than Epps expected, evidently. Frazier was on the coverage for the Bears. The ball went harmlessly out of bounds. Richard Dent had the rush on Lynn Dickey that time, the rookie from Tennessee State for Chicago.
Also, Dickey was expecting Epps to go straight up the field. Now, Epps goes to the out pattern, and the ball was thrown up the field, so there was a conversion there, an automatic conversion or an audible that Epps didn't pick up on, and Dickey was trying to beat the one-on-one coverage, just throwing straight up the field.
Third down and 10 for the Packers. Slot formation left, wide throw set. And Dickey moved back, but the ball did not come up. That brought a lot of traffic, but the ball never moved. Larry McCarron did not snap it. So 2 miscues in a row by the Packers offensively. One on the pattern, here on the count.
False start, number 12 of the offense.
That's what you call a false start. Poor Lynn was back there with no ball to play with. So it'll be third and a little longer.
Start, number 12 of the offense, pulled out from under the center without the ball. Still third down.
Well, that's tough football without the football.
Well, at least he faked everybody out.
3rd and 15 for Green Bay with the ball now out at the Bears 47. So a couple of Packer mistakes giving the Bears a reprieve on this Green Bay drive. 3 wide receivers are in, Lofton, Jefferson, and Epps. Bart Starr saying better make something happen here, Lynn. Smith is in the secondary defensively. Bears show a blitz. Dickey for Lofton, and it is incomplete. Richardson on the coverage. A flag down up there, and it may be an interference call. Now, did Lofton have a chance to catch it? Well, if he hadn't been interfered with, perhaps. Let's see what the officials rule. Illegal use of the hands is the preliminary signal against Mike Richardson. So the Packers really get a break there. After backing up to a 3rd and 15.
Well, they called that penalty apparently early on because late in the play there was no contact.
Here's the call.
Illegal contact. Number 27 on the defense. First down.
So they get a first down. And the ball at the 42-yard line.
How'd you like to have the pressure that Mike Richardson has? There's been several times he's had to cover James Lofton all by himself.
Well, Mike Ditka, he wants this game. He wants to beat the Packers. He said, hey, they knocked us out 2 weeks ago. We want to do it to them today. Draw play to Huckabee. Huckabee picks up about 7. Hartenstein made the tackle on him. They'll bring up 2nd and 3. In comes Jesse Clark, number 33, delivering a play to Lynn Dickey.
2nd and 5 at the 37.
2nd and 5. Talking with Lynn Dickey yesterday about their non-use of the shotgun on their long passing downs. And Bob Smelker, the offensive coordinator, just plain and simple doesn't like it. 2nd and 5, and he stumbles in the drop back, recovers, and again for Lofton, and it is incomplete. The Bears now giving Richardson some help over there with Fensick coming over to help out on Lofton, but Richardson knocked that ball down. 3rd and 5. Interesting comment from Dickey yesterday on that shotgun. Here would be a situation here where you would see most teams go to it now, but he says the one thing when you're looking to catch the ball on the snap that you're not able to see those last-minute defensive adjustments and do the read that you'd like to make when the ball is snapped. That was something I hadn't heard from another quarterback. So Dickey doesn't really mind not using the shotgun, even though it is Schnelker's dictum that the Packers don't use it. Dickey goes along with it. Schmidt and Potter in defensively. 6 defensive backs on the 3rd down passing situation. Dickey intended for Epps, and Epps cannot make the catch. He made a nice move inside the coverage of Leslie Frazier. Frazier had him covered. Epps got away from him and gave himself a chance to catch the ball, but could not hold on. Philip Epps, a speedster from TCU. So it is 4th down.
Epps made a nice adjustment of go. He spotted the ball first and tried to go, but there was Frazier on the coverage, and they collided. He didn't quite make the catch. So the Packers are going to punt. It's too far for a Stenerud try for a field goal.
Bucky Scribner standing at the Packer 48-yard line. Trying to get the corner. McKinnon lets it go, and it just gets into the end zone on the last hop. So the Bears will have it at their own 20-yard line. And the Packers in Bears territory come up empty. 10:42 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Green America wouldn't be happy to send heat instead of money. But they can use the heat here at Soldier Field today. 3 above 0. These teams have really done remarkably well in holding down turnovers. There have been interceptions, but only 1 fumble. McMahon on 1st down has lots of time, and he overthrows Matt Suey. Bears gave him good protection. He was looking for Galt deep and then went to the shorter man, Suey, and overthrew him.
That's exactly right. He wanted to go to Galt on the deep out, and Galt was covered, and Suey was the safety valve, and McMahon just misfired as Kenny Marjoram comes in. There's a few fans.
Yes.
That's all I want to say.
I think there's a little fuel working on the inside there. It is cold weather. 2nd and 10 for the Chicago Bears from the 20-yard line. Wags is back in defensively. He left with an apparent leg injury. The pass out to Payton, and Payton picks up about 7, maybe 8 yards. Mike Douglas pulls him down. Not sure whether he was a release man on that play. Johnny, what do you think? Or were they trying to screen?
They were trying to set up the screen, and the Packer defensive line smelled it. And by the time the Bears could get the screen off, Douglas came from the other side to prevent Payton from getting a big run.
You see it again. Another good job defensively.
Okay, and you can see how the Packers get right out in the screen. Number 99, Charlie Johnson got out there, and it was Douglas who got it from behind.
So it is 3rd down. And a long 4 out of the shotgun. Blitz and incomplete, intended for Suey. Mike Jolly was there on the coverage. And some boos here. That's one way to keep warm, too. Some boos for McMahon and company for not moving the football on that offensive series.
Well, the passing game just has not gone well for the Bears at all, with the exception of that early touchdown pass by Galt. McMahon hasn't been all that sharp. They've had some running, but not enough to sustain a drive.
Stakowitz standing at his 11-yard line. Short punt. Bearcat signaled and dropped. Bears football. Bears football at the 45-yard line of Green Bay. Dan Raines, reserve linebacker, number 55, comes up with the ball. Philip Epps signaled fair catch, but couldn't hang on to it.
He didn't get up far enough as the ball. Watch the ball come down. You're going to see the nose down, and he's this just does not get up far enough, and it hits his hands. He can't get his body around it. There's the fumble, and look for Dan Raines, number 53, to recover for the Chicago Bears. So the Packers are having trouble with those punt returns. They fumbled another one, but wound up with a 40-yard return, remember?
Art Starr, you see, had a few words for Philip Epps and how he played that ball. So a break for the Bears at the 45. Matt Suey picks up about 4, getting to the 41-yard line where Mike Douglas hauls him down.
Well, the big thing about a punt returner is that if you're going to go up and catch that ball, get up in position so you don't have to be reaching forward or moving forward. And if you can't do that, then get away and let the ball bounce.
Look at this. The New Orleans Saints have closed the margin to 2 on a touchdown run by Wilson. Makes it 16-14. The Rams still in front, but only by 2 in the third quarter. Green Bay Packers do not want a New Orleans victory down there. Second down. Chicago. Payton has a hole, skips through, breaks a tackle, first down to the 32-yard line of Green Bay. Good blocking behind Noah Jackson, number 65.
Right, Noah Jackson and Matt Suey. I think it was Cumbie that Suey really banged into in front of Payton, number 26. Makes some contact with Cumbie, knocks him out of there, and Payton, with second effort, just drives forward as the Bears get a first down.
Tim Lewis and Mark Murphy making the tackle. The Bears threatening. They trail 14-7. The Packers must win here today. The Bears would like to be potentially one of 4 teams at 8-8 atop the NFC Central. Payton gets about 4. John Anderson, the linebacker, stops him there. Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, and the Vikings could all wind up at 8-8. Minnesota, of course, with their win over Cincinnati, finished their season at 8-8.
I'd call that parity, wouldn't you?
That
at least in the Central Division.
NFC Central. If Tampa Bay beats Detroit, they would be 8-8. If Green Bay loses and Chicago wins, of course, then you'd have a 4-way tie. However, the Chicago Bears cannot get to the playoffs despite the victory here today.
If they get it.
Second down. And 7 to go. Play action. McMahon running out of time and runs out of real estate. And then is flattened right at the sideline. Charles Johnson, an official, also got decked. That's the 5th sack of the afternoon. If he got over the line of scrimmage, he might have been called a runner. That may not be an official sack.
Vern Marshall, number 94, was the official that got really decked as McMahon couldn't find anybody. Finally pushed out of bounds, and there goes old Vern. He earned his money on that play.
It was a loss of a yard on the play. Charles Johnson, third-year man from Maryland, and the 3rd or 4th choice to play the nose for the injured Green Bay Packers down lineman, having himself a fine afternoon. 5 sacks for the Packers now.
I think the story of this game and this team, the Green Bay Packers, has to be the vast improvement of the defense over the last 3 games.
And the 30-yard line. Suey, little misdirection play, and it looks like he has the first down. Good blocking out the left side. Charles and Ezra Johnson combined on a hit.
Very interesting play as they pulled the off tackle and the off guard. Kurt Becker and Keith Van Horn. Watch the right and left guard. They're both pulling off to the right, to the left to lead the way, and Suey follows them through. Good misdirection play called by Mike Ditka as Suey was very close to the first down. I thought he had it.
They'll measure here. You see 61 yards for Suey. Payton has 88, and it is a first down. And the Bears have stuck to their game plan to primarily run the football. And while it has not paid off for them in points on the scoreboard, they are moving it consistently now, really for the first time today, and are threatening from the 22-yard line. 7 minutes remaining third quarter. Packers lead at 14-7. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris live and cold at Soldier Field. 3 degrees above zero. Slot formation left. Play action. Nice fake. The pass from McKinnon. Touchdown! The faithful enjoy that one. Dennis McKinnon, and again that beautiful fake by Jim McMahon, who can hide that ball on his hip about as well as anybody in the game.
You hit it right on the head, Tim. It was a beautiful fake by McMahon, who can be so casual. You never know when somebody's going to clobber him. He takes his back to the line of scrimmage and just stands there, and threw a perfect pass to McKinnon that was actually almost intercepted. I think it was Johnny Gray who went for the interception and came very close, but it wound up a touchdown.
22-yard score. McMahon to McKinnon. Thomas for the point after. And it's blocked, but it's good. How about that? A Packer got a piece of it, and the ball went over the crossbar anyway. We're tied at 14.
Now here comes the replay of the touchdown. Now watch McMahon. His back is to the line of scrimmage. Hey, he's real casual. Here comes McKinnon streaking across, and that was Lee that went for the interception. Almost got to it. McKinnon made the grab. We have a tie football game. A lot of time to play yet.
6. Jim Ryan and Johnny Morris back in Chicago, where Bob Thomas is pumped up and ready to kick it off. The Bears have just tied the game at 14 all. Thomas, kickoff is short, comes down at the 17-yard line. Huckleby breaks a tackle and drops the ball, and it is still loose, and it looks like a Packer ball. Bears had 3 guys with a shot at it, but the Packers have recovered at the 45-yard line of Chicago.
An unbelievable play. There were 3 Bears around that football, and I think the Packers got it.
Yes, they did. And Simmons, I believe, was the man to jar it loose initially from Huckleby.
Okay, let's watch Huckleby here. He's got both arms around the ball here. It's surprising that he fumbled the ball. Now, there you see 1, 2, 3 Chicago Bears, and the Packers are going to wind up with it. That's football, folks. That's what makes it a great game. The Packers have fumbled twice in key situations and wound up getting plush yardage out of it.
Looked like Cliff Lewis, reserve linebacker, made the recovery for the Green Bay Packers and turned that kickoff return into a big game. First down, Packers, and Huckleby is hit behind the line by Singletary and then dropped by Harris and Wilson. Now let's take a look at some of the scores involving the AFC wild card picture. Atlanta pretty much destroyed Buffalo's slim hopes, 24-7 in the third. Cleveland leading Pittsburgh 23-10. And you can see that there were 4 teams going into the action today with a shot at the wild card, all standing at 8 and 7. Seattle plays later at home against New England. 2nd and 10 for Green Bay at the Bears 45. Dickey intercepted by Frazier. It was intended for Lofton. Frazier brings it back to the 45-yard line of the Green Bay Packers. He's knocked out by Charlie Getty, number 77, seeing some time at offensive tackle. But obviously a miscue there between Lofton and Dickey.
Well, either probably Lofton didn't pick up the audible because he's going straight down the field. Frazier just sees the ball coming, and Dickey threw it right in his arms. An unbelievable play. We're having a lot of them here as Leslie Frazier takes it up the sidelines. The Bears have the ball again. Some kind of a miscue by the Packers, either Lofton or Dickey.
4th interception on this icy afternoon by the Chicago Bears. Frazier from Dickey, bringing it to the Packer 45-yard line. A distraught Bart Starr, hoping that somehow the Packers can bring it back. And there's that Rams-New Orleans score. The Rams leading by 2 as the Saints rallying back despite the loss of Ken Stabler to a bad knee. Play action, McMahon. This one's going to be picked off the other way. Well, Starr got his wish. Tim Lewis, the rookie, his 2nd set of interception of the afternoon, and he brings it up to the 42-yard line where Frederick knocks him out of bounds. So the Packers get it right back.
Well, Willie Galt was streaking down the sidelines that time, and McMahon threw a line shot, and it was an easy interception for Lewis, as Galt thought it was going to be way down the field on an up pattern. Turns his head and look at the pass way back here. Lewis says, I got it. Let's get back upfield the other way as the Green Bay Packers. You talk about a seesaw football game back and forth. The Packers must have 3 or 4 interceptions also.
Yes, they do. That's the third one for Green Bay. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris tapping our toes to keep them warm in the booth here at Soldier Field. Back-to-back interceptions. The last one by Tim Lewis of Green Bay. The Packers first down at the 42. That is Clark digging for about 3 yards to the 45-yard line. And Singletary making the tackle for the Chicago Bears. Al Harris was leading the cheers of the Bears fans who braved the 0 temperatures here to watch the Bears in their final game of the regular season. And Harris probably keeping himself warm while he was waving his arms out there, exhorting the fans to lift the spirits of the defense to get that ball right back. 2nd and 8. Green Bay slot formation right. Dickey steps up in the pocket. A flag is down, intended for Jefferson. He caught it, but out of bounds. Nice catch by Jefferson, but he is out of bounds. Frazier on the coverage. They've been really keeping those corners busy today, throwing sideline passes. Flag down is behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, they're calling a holding against Green Bay, I believe, and Sid Kitson was the one who was arguing vehemently. I don't know whether he got the penalty call.
Red Cash and the referee talking it over there with Gary Fensick. 2nd and 8 situation. There send in Schmidt and Singletary defensively.
Well, the contemplation is whether to take the penalty or not, and it looks like the Bears will take it. They'd like to put the Packers in a 3rd down situation, but there were only 8 yards to go, and they'd rather have them be 2nd and about 18.
Holding, number 64 on the offense, still 2nd down.
That's why he was upset, said Kitson. Who, me? All right, it is 2nd down and almost 18 to go. The ball back at the Packer 35. 4:31 to go in the 3rd period. It's been a long period with these turnovers, extending the game clock some. Out to the left comes Lofton. Epps to the right. Jefferson in the slot right.
Blitz.
Dickey is dropped and the ball is loose. McMichael got a hand on Dickey. Did the Packers keep the football? I believe they did. That's the 3rd sack by the Bears, and McMichael just got a hand on Dickey. It looked like he slipped and fell down.
There's Lynn Dickey talking with his backfield saying, somebody pick up those guys. Give me some time to throw that football, as the Bears put all kinds of pressure on that time, and they are now in a 3rd down, very long situation.
What a competitor that Dickey is, though. He comes to play every week. That's such a cliche, but he is the kind of a guy that he'll know the talent of the team, what it's capable of. Every week, Dickey's out there trying to give you his best shot.
What's going on here? Was there a penalty against the Bears?
And we haven't seen that signal yet. We'll find out from Red Cashin.
It looks like it's against Chicago, which will be a...
Holding, number 50 on the defense, 1st down.
Ooh, that's a big penalty.
Defensive holding call against Mike Singletary. So a sack turns into a Packer 1st down at their 40-yard line. Kansas City running all over Denver, 38-3. Latest score in the 3rd quarter. Greg Cook out of the lineup with a shoulder injury. That is Clark. Clark gets to the 45-yard line of Green Bay for a gain of about 5.
Tackled by Singletary.
Charlie Getty has been in the game the last few plays for Greg Cook. And we just learned that Cook apparently bruised a shoulder. So Getty, the veteran, acquired from Kansas City earlier this season in a trade, getting some time at right tackle offensively. 2nd and a long 4 for the Packers. Huckabee breaks it. Huckabee inside the 40-yard line. The ball comes loose and goes out of bounds. Now did it go off Hucklebee's hands? Evidently it'll still be Packer ball. So good run by Huckleby. And fortunately for the Green Bay Packers and their fans, they will maintain possession.
He was the last one to have a possession, Huckleby, as he goes up the field here. Fumbles the ball, it bounces out, and it'll be Green Bay's ball.
Another score in from the Superdome.
Oh, look at this.
New Orleans has gone in front of the Rams, 17-16. What a football game, and what a display by the Saints, having lost Stabler. As far as we know, he's not back in. First down, a wing formation for the Packers, and Dickey dropped the ball trying to hand it off, and he wisely just covers up at the 40-yard line. He'll take about an 8-yard loss. And apparently the temperatures have gotten to some of our equipment, namely my microphone. So, Johnny, talk a little while I change it here.
I will talk a little while you change your microphone, and then tell you that has put the Packers in a tough situation. They had it down deep in the Bear territory, and now they're in a 2nd and long, and they go into the passing situation, which sometimes can be disastrous when you're facing the Chicago Bear defense, or other times you can beat them with that one-on-one coverage. Let's see how the Bears play it, where they put the all-out blitz on Lynn Dickey.
All right, let's try this microphone. Sounds like it's working. 2nd and 19. Pressure from McMichael, and Dickey cannot get it off. Steve McMichael drops them all the way back at the Packer 42.
And he got through there slick and clean. He sprained his ankle in the process. McMichael, who has really come on at the end of the season, apparently sprained his ankle. No blitz. He just put on a little crisscross move with Jim Osborne and got through the Packer blockers, and then grabbed him with one arm, that big, strong arm. He can bench press about 450 pounds. He got a hold of Dickey, and down he went. And this is what you call a drive in reverse. 3rd down and what?
Long.
About 40 yards, I think.
Bear-armed Steve McMichael makes what would have been the 4th sack of the day for the Bears, but a penalty negated one of those, so they have 3 officially. And it is 3rd down from the 42-yard line, and about, let's see, 10, 20, 30, almost 40 yards. That's right, Johnny. And we have another penalty against Green Bay for delay of game, as they did not get that ball snapped in time. You see Richard Dent trying to stay warm out there with all of these penalties. He's cooled off considerably here, waiting to get the action started.
Delay by the offense to 3rd down.
Now it appears that the clock down on the field, the 30-second clock, is working now, so you might wonder if, the fact that it was broken for a while is kind of a disadvantage to a quarterback there, because he can always see that, but it is working. Jesse Clark on the carry, as the Packers didn't try to throw downfield deep into that with that long passing situation, so now they'll be forced to punt. The Chicago Bears stop that drive, and everybody seems to be hustling around here as the Packers will be punting.
Okay, still a few microphone problems. Johnny wanted to do play-by-play anyway. Here it is, a punting situation for the Green Bay Packers. They had a negative drive, as Johnny described it. And a good punt by Scribner. Takes a Packer bounce and goes out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. They're going to spot it at about the 2, I believe. And Scribner really nailed one, got the Packer bounce, and has backed up the Bears to their 2-yard line. See it again here. Look at this. Now McKinnon starts to chase it. It looked like he thought it would either go out of bounds upfield or go into the end zone, but instead it went out at the 2, a 53-yard kick by Bucky Scribner. He gets some congratulations on the sidelines. He even let him put a nice warm parka on over there for that effort. Angeles Rams at the Superdome. Green Bay needs a Rams victory down there for a wild card shot.
Look at Peyton. He's 5 yards in the end zone.
McMahon sneaks it out to the 5-yard line. Picked up about 3. Byron Braggs was there, number 73. And Cumbie, the linebacker, number 52. 2nd and 7. from the 5-yard line. Saldi comes out. The play comes in to the Bears huddle with 1:26 and counting down in the third quarter. So we have had a bunch of interceptions here this afternoon. A couple of fumbles, as you might expect in these frigid temperatures. Moorhead, the tight end, goes off the line, becomes a slot man, and goes in motion. Suey straight ahead, got only about a yard, center of that Packer line, expecting the dive play, and they shut it down.
I think the temperature is going down, Tim. There must be 0 down there.
Sure feels like it up here. Shadows lengthening over Soldier Field. Look at that. Cleveland 30-10 over the Steelers. Of course, Pittsburgh already has clinched the AFC Central Division. Cleveland with a slender chance to squeak in as a wild card. So they look like they at least have done their own job today, but they need help from Seattle later today. Seattle would have to lose to New England.
Okay, into the shotgun on a third down pass. He's going to be throwing from the end zone if he throws.
They give it to Walter Payton. Payton has a first down and then some out to the 20-yard line. Nice play by the Bears. Out of the shotgun, they run it right up the middle. Walter Payton does the job. Back there was Johnny Gray, the safety, number 24, with a tackle, and Payton goes over 100 yards.
Just a little forward inside handoff. Hilgenberg throws a good block there on Johnson as Payton goes right up the middle and turns it on, gets the first down before Johnny Gray, 24, makes the tackle as the third quarter has ended.
101 yards on 8. 0 degrees here in Chicago, and the Bears have the football at their 20-yard line. First down. Walter Payton picks up about 6 yards to bring up 2nd and 4 at the 26-yard line. 54 career 100-yard rushing games. He has one here this afternoon. Jim Brown, 58, the leader in that department. And the Packers get some breathing room here. The Rams have moved back in front of New Orleans, 23-17. Nolan Cromwell took an interception 43 yards for a touchdown. And the Rams had a punt return for a touchdown earlier. So big plays helping Los Angeles. First down, Bears. Payton tripped up by Byron Braggs, but not before he got the first down at the 31-yard line of Chicago.
Interesting in that L.A.-New Orleans game is you can't blame the Saints defense. Nolan Cromwell with a 43-yard pass interception for one of L.A.'s touchdowns. The Rams also scored as Ellard had a punt return and Johnson had a 31-yard interception return. So it's the Rams defense that's winning that game for Los Angeles so far.
They're in the fourth quarter at the Superdome. We'll keep you right up to date on it. First down for the Bears here in Chicago. A tie football game. Packers have to win this game. Doesn't really matter what happens elsewhere. If they lose to the Bears, they've got to win. Payton, the ball carrier, stopped by Ezra Johnson after a pickup of a couple. We've had 7 interceptions today, which is no surprise in terms of the weather, but several of those interceptions have been primarily because there's been miscues between passer and receiver, not so much because they're throwing a frozen football and throwing it badly. Actually, the quarterbacks have handled the ball pretty well. Second down and 8.
Another thing about this field, I was down on it before the game, and it's like a rock.
Sure is. Almost like an ice rink. Very, very hard and slick. Play action. McMahon flips it off to Payton, and he's dropped by Ezra Johnson, and he throws it off to McMahon, and McMahon just is able to cover the ball. So a little ill-advised razzle-dazzle there. The play broke down, it appeared, Johnny, on the first fake handoff to Suey, and then McMahon was forced to kind of push the ball out to Payton.
Okay, let's watch Suey. Here's the fake of the handoff to Suey. They collided, and the ball was in air for a second. Then McMahon said, hey, let's go through with the play anyway. Payton says, okay, I got it. Now, does Payton intentionally try and lateral back to McMahon here? Yes, he does. Well, it's the last game of the season.
Oh, boy. Yeah, they may not even have a film session on that one tomorrow, right? Third down and 12 for the Chicago Bears. Out of the shotgun now.
3-man rush.
And has the time, and he hits Payton. Payton is stopped short of the first down at the 40-yard line. He's about a yard short. It was George Cumbie, the linebacker from Oklahoma, making the tackle, and so the Packers do the job defensively once more. We're in the final period of regulation time. You have to say that when Green Bay's involved. In 8 of their games, the issue has been settled either in overtime or in the final few seconds of a game. Stakowitz hitting it. Good kick by Stakowitz. Epp signals fair catch at the 24-yard line. And so the Packers have the football. 11:22 on the clock in the fourth quarter. There's Bart Starr looking on with some concern as the clock starting to be a factor. You can see that they have not been able to move in their last 4 possessions. They've had 2 interceptions, 2 punts. They must win this football game to keep their chances alive, and they have a first down at their own 23-yard line. That is Meade. Mike Meade gets a couple out the left side at the most. He's dropped by the Bears' right side defensively. Osborne actually ranging over from left tackle to make the stop. And it'll be just a 1.5 yard gain.
Yes, it was Jim Osborne. Just muscled his way through there now in his 12th year with the Chicago Bears. Last week tasted victory up in Minnesota for the first time in his career. The Bears had not beaten Minnesota in 12 years up there, and they finally did it last week.
Slot formation to the right. Dickey under pressure is sacked. McMichael and Hartenstein. Steve McMichael has become a force. Bears fans knowing Dan Hampton in his prime coming back next year will give them some tremendous strength up front.
Tremendous improvement in the defensive line despite some injuries. You see McMichael, number 76. He did it with muscle. He did it with the muscle as he just went in there and got through and passed it, kicked to number 64 to make the tackle.
4th Bear sack. Steve McMichael, 4-year man from Texas. 3rd down. And about 17, and you can see those bare arms on McMichael. That's some kind of tough day. Smith and Potter are in defensively now, and this passing down. Dickey gets in time. Sideline intended for Huckabee out of the backfield. Incomplete. Terry Schmidt on the coverage. And as they bring on the punting unit, we'd like to say congratulations for a long and distinguished career. Our technical supervisor, Dick Shapiro, working his last remote of a CBS football telecast today, and good weather and bad, cold and warm, keeps things working for us, and we congratulate him on a long and distinguished career in his field and thank him for our many visits to Chicago. Great job that he's done.
42 years.
42 years of being involved with telecast for CBS, and that's just outstanding. 42 years in the business, not all of it with CBS television, of course.
Now the Bears have dropped off 2 short punt returners.
Scribner's punt, not bad, and takes a Packer bounce. It's fielded by McKinnon, trying to get wide, and the Packers cover him well and drop him at the 44-yard line. So the Green Bay Packers will have the football with Jim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, where we had a penalty on the punt play. Late flag came down as the Packers evidently had somebody downfield a little early, and so the Bears say let them punt it over again. Scribner did a good job, and they feel that he may not do as well the second time. Still a discussion down there, and they're not sure why. They've had a lot of time to get this settled. The Bears made their choice that they wanted Green Bay to punt again.
Boy, this is a major discussion, isn't it? One official keeping the players apart, and here we'll find out what happened.
There is no foul. Number 44 was the end man. Circled back and went down the field. We'll go back to where the ball was down. You going to the yard line?
Well, now they say there was no foul. Apparently the man downfield was eligible as the outside man to get downfield early, and after a little consultation amongst each other, the officials have ruled it back at the spot where McKinnon returned the ball. So it'll be Bears football from their own 46-yard line. First down, 9:53 remaining in regulation time.
See, I think what happened is that one official thought it was an illegal man that had come from the inside and got downfield, and another official picked it up, and that's the good thing about it. They get the discussions and get it squared away and come up with the correct call.
Better to be right, absolutely. First down, Chicago, a tie football game here, a game that Green Bay must win. The Bears want to win it to get to 8-8, and perhaps a share of the NFC Central record anyway of 8-8. Could turn out that way. Payton picks up about 12 to the 41-yard line. Byron Braggs makes the tackle for Green Bay. First down, Chicago in Packer territory, but a flag down on a play here.
I think that was against Green Bay. Watch Payton. He plays his blockers so well there. That time he let Noah Jackson, 65, throw his block, then waited for the Packers to overrun it a little bit and then cut up the field. That's excellent.
Number 99 on the defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
Penalty against Charles Johnson. We couldn't hear the call, but apparently it was a 5-yarder.
You know, Payton ran most of that run at about half to 2/3 speed, just waiting for his blocks and sizing up the situation.
And they decline it because of the good run by Walter Payton, and so the Bears have first down at the Packer 42. They can end any hopes for the Packers with a victory over Green Bay. Payton off tackle the left side, picks up about 4. Charles Johnson on the tackle. Let's take a look at some of the other scores this afternoon. You see Rams are still in front of New Orleans 23-17. St. Louis leading Philadelphia 24-0. Atlanta over Buffalo, that'll put them away 24-7. And Kansas City over Denver 41-10. The Broncos are already in a playoff spot. Took the afternoon off down there in Kansas City, it looks like. Second down and 7. Walter Payton right side. He's got some running room, and a good job by Braggs. Byron Braggs, as Payton looked like he was just about to turn it into high gear when he saw all the real estate ahead of him, and Braggs with a burst of speed stopped him.
And he had a man out in front. 79, Kurt Becker was way out front, ends up blocking nobody. If he had to look back, he would have been able to do a peel block, but Braggs came in from behind and made the tackle. But that's where a pulling guard or a pulling tackle has to have his head up and be moving it back and forth to see where the problem's coming from, and he wound up being a useless man on the football field because of that. Braggs, good hustle.
127 yards for Walter Payton on the day. And Steen and Jolly have come into the secondary on the passing down for Green Bay. 8 minutes, 5 seconds left to play regulation time. Big play for the Bears, complete to McKinnon. Does he have the first down? See where they mark it? Yes. McMahon to McKinnon. That was a big third down play. Chicago now inside the 30 of Green Bay with a first down.
The blitz came from Tim Lewis, number 26, from the left of your screen. McMahon spotted him coming and threw the ball to McKinnon right away. Heads up play by Jim McMahon as the Packers went with the safety blitz that time.
Well, now the Packer defense, which has played so well all afternoon and for 3 consecutive games, is facing its test of the season here. They really have to stop Chicago on this drive. 8 minutes remains in regulation time. Slot formation left. Payton running off tackle, picking his way, pulled down from behind by Ezra Johnson, but not before he picked up 7, maybe 8 yards. Randy Scott in on the tackle with Johnson. Starr, if that's a look of concern, it would be understandable as he sees the Bears pushing it down the field, and a go-ahead score here could be the end of a Packer season. Anything can happen with this weather and turnovers, of course, but the clock working against Green Bay, and the Bears have the football.
And the thing we talked about early in the game is the fact that the Bears are going to try and establish that running game. I think it's obvious they have established it at this point of the game. They're chunking off 4 and 5 yards at a clip.
That one wound up being a little more than 6, and Payton again, and Payton should have a first down. It'll be close, but he is near that marker again. Just outside the 16-yard line. And it is first down, Chicago. Charles Johnson made the tackle. Now for an NFL Today report on the Saints and the Rams. Let's go to Brent Musburger.
Tim, it is 3rd and goal. The handoff from Wilson to George Rogers. Going in, he fumbles. But here comes Steve Cord of the Saints, and the Saints lead the Rams by a point. Back to Tim and Johnny.
24-23. New Orleans in front by a point. What a game they're playing down there. With so much at stake, they got a thriller. First down, Bears. Payton trying the left side. Gets a block, takes it inside, gets to the 10-yard line to the 9. And it's Mark Murphy, the safety, making the tackle. Bob Thomas warming up the leg in case he's needed in here. In a field goal situation. Matt Suey was injured on the play, and he's still getting some assistance on the sideline. Calvin Thomas has come in to replace him, number 33, the second-year man from Illinois. Payton is up to 144 yards, and now Chicago is going to take a timeout. 6:09 remaining as Matt Suey getting some attention on the sideline. We didn't see what happened to him, but he was in.
Here's where Suey threw his block on Johnny Gray, and this is where he got shook up on the play. It's hard to tell exactly what happened, but he went down on the turf, and I wonder if Douglas fell on him here right afterwards. But anyway, Matt Suey was injured on the play.
Well, they had a timeout to get the play sorted out, and they still had to run a player off the field at the last second. Jay Saldi, and they're still talking over the play. Van Horn and Thomas, maybe the count. So the Bears with all that time still having some difficulty, but they get the play off all right. Payton crashes his way inside the 5 to the 4-yard line, and he may have another first down. Official timeout is signaled, and clock is stopped at 6:01, and it is a Bears first down. Anderson and Murphy made the tackle for Green Bay. First down at the 5-yard line of Green Bay.
And Matt Suey has come back in the football game. Calvin Thomas is off, so Suey's okay.
You saw Bart Starr looking on just helplessly is probably the best way to describe that. And Coach standing on the sidelines, seeing the season fade away here. He can't run out there and do the stopping, but he's got to be proud of his defense today. They've really done an outstanding job, and they could still make something happen here. Bears still got 5 more yards to go. Pitch out to Payton. Trying to get wide and cannot do it. A sea of white shirts of the Packers shut him down as he tried to cut it back in. There'll be a loss of a yard on the play. So the Packer defense rises up. Skogstad was there. Johnson, Charles Johnson was there. And Byron Braggs.
And here comes the interesting strategy now. Will Mike Ditka risk going to the air here, or will he keep it on the ground and possibly settle for the field goal? In this situation, several times this year, he's wound up with tricky type of passes to the tight end, slipping out on a delay or something like that. Let's see if they stick with the ground or go for the TD now.
Second and goal from the 6. Moorhead in motion. Little turnaround and into the end zone for Saldi, incomplete. Saldi was open. McMahon didn't get it to him. Little spin around play action, faking the dive play, and Saldi was open.
Yes, he was. They just slipped the tight end down to the end zone and down and out, and McMahon had him, but missed him on the pass.
Thomas continues to warm up on the sideline. 4:40 on the clock. There you see it. Third and goal from the 6, and 5 new Packer defenders come in here. Jolly and Osteen, expecting pass, will join the secondary. They've got 4 down linemen. Brown and Boyd will come in up front. And timeout is called by the Bears. And they have only 1 remaining, with 4:40 still to play. So with a timeout on the field, the season staring him in the face, Bart Starr, the Packer head coach. His team 8-7 on the year, still alive. 3rd and 6 Third and goal from the 6 for the Chicago Bears. Quarterback draw. Touchdown. Bear fans came out in 0 temperatures to watch a game that is meaningless for the Chicago Bears. So they enjoy that one. McMahon's quarterback draw for the touchdown. It puts the Bears in front with 4:34 remaining. Jim McMahon with 290 yards rushing coming into this game shows his running ability again. Thomas has trouble with the Bashnagel trying to get to the end zone, and is stopped. He is stopped. Guy Prather tackling Bashnagel, who could not get the point after pass from center down and elected to try and run it in. Nearly made it, but Prather made an alert play to stop him.
And here's the play that the Bears have worked quite a bit, especially with Vince Evans when he was the quarterback. The quarterback draw out of the shotgun, and McMahon dived into the end zone, and it was the touchdown for the Bears. Good blocking by Hilgenberg on that play. And here comes the missed extra point, which could end up being costly as Bashnagel bobbled the ball, gets away from this tackle, but it's Prather who got him right at the 1-yard line. It's a race to the end zone. 84 could not quite get there. Brian Bashnagel brought down on the one on a good play by Prather. So the Packers now, if they can score, can win this game, wouldn't have to...
Time in light of the missed point after, as Bashnagel unable to field the pass from center and get it down in place for Thomas, and Bashnagel made a good effort to try and run it in, but Guy Prather made a better one to stop him. Now, we said earlier, Lynn Dickey is one of the great practitioners in a hurry-up offense, and the Packers have got 4:34 on the clock, and they'll have the football. Thomas kicks a bouncer that hits at the 20 and will go out of bounds. He'll have to kick it over. So Thomas will have to start from farther back. Tonight on CBS, the conclusion of all the football activity, be sure to see 60 Minutes, top-rated show on television. Dallas, one day at a time, and a special tonight, the 8th annual Circus of the Stars, to get into the Christmas season programming. That's all tonight on CBS. We were talking earlier about a couple of weeks ago, seeing them retire the jersey of the great Ray Nitschke, and I want to send out a special hello to one of his teammates of that great era, Bart Starr's era in the 60s, the great Packer teams. Watching, I'm sure, up in Milwaukee today. Merry Christmas to our old and very good friend Lionel Aldridge. I'm sure he's watching this thriller today, his old Packer team in their last stand here to try and catch the Bears and see what happens in Detroit and the conclusion of the game down in New Orleans. Last score from there, the Saints by a point over the Rams. It is not yet a final. Thomas, line drive is taken at the 25-yard line by Johnny Gray, and he is buried at the 35. But not bad field position for the Green Bay Packers. Well, some good things happen for Green Bay in the next few minutes here. And something good happens down in New Orleans. They could be the opponent in that question mark spot against Dallas. Wild card game is on CBS Monday, December 26th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Dallas awaiting news of who the opponent will be, but they will be at home, the Cowboys. Washington coming from behind to beat the Giants yesterday, clinching that division title and home field advantage. Dickey on first down. Intended for Lofton, and it is broken up by Fensick. On the coverage was Richardson, and they are making sure that Richardson has some help whenever Lofton heads down that sideline.
Gary Fensick's playing deep center field on that play, and he probably will be playing quite a bit for the rest of this football game. Playing very soft. The Bears will play a little bit soft because the Packers cannot hurt them with a field goal. They're just not going to give up that touchdown, and you got to figure Fensick's going to be deeper than any Packer can get.
Bears have had 4 intercepts today. Mike Richardson with 2 of them. Packers have had 3. 2nd and 10, Green Bay. Flared out to Clark, and it's incomplete. Dickey had some pressure from McMichael, who's just been in there all day long. And he made an amusing comment yesterday talking to us that we were asking about that now infamous pass by Gary Ellis 2 weeks ago that almost put the Bears back into that game. And McMichael was chasing Ellis as he attempted to pass, and Dickey said after the game, he said, now you know how I feel when I'm looking at that big guy, number 76, or people like him coming into my face all day long. Well, McMichael's been in there all day, all afternoon.
And he has a pretty good profession during the offseason. He likes to hunt rattlesnakes.
That fits his personality. Tyrone Keys is in the game defensively for the Bears on 3rd and 10. Big play for the Packers. Complete to Lofton. James Lofton and Lynn Dickey. A combination that has come up with a lot of big plays all season long, and they do it here. Wilson and Richardson made the tackle, but not before Lofton got the first down.
You talk about a key play where he had to put the ball there, as Lofton will come from the left side of your screen, and he has 2 men on him, but the pass is to the inside, makes the grab, takes his punishment, and keeps the drive alive. They're now to the 45 of the Bears. Plenty of time, 3:39 left in the game.
Lofton with 1,227 yards coming into this game on 55 catches. And that was as big a catch as he's made all year. There's a wide open Huckleby, and he could not hold the ball. Wide open. Again, Dickey slipping that running back into the middle. Something he thought they could do. The call was right. The man was open. He couldn't hang on.
And it's identical to what he did to Otis Wilson last time. Huckleby faked outside, went to the inside, and the ball was there, and he dropped it. There was nobody in the picture when he caught that ball. That's 2 key passes that Huckleby has dropped.
Lynn Dickey is only 8 of 28 today, not a number he's going to be real proud of, but he's got 234 yards and a touchdown to go with those 4 intercepts, and he's got the Packers at the Bear 45, which is all that matters if he can get him into the end zone. 2nd and 10, flag down. It looked like a Bear was early. Intended for Lofton, complete. Lofton to the 22-yard line. If the Bears are offside,
they were,
then it's going to be a first down at the Chicago 22. Dickey and Lofton hooking up again.
Somebody in the middle of the Bear defensive line jumped a little bit too soon.
There's the sign against the Bears. Frazier on the coverage.
Okay, there's the jam on Lofton, and then dipped to the outside. The pass was perfect. He keeps his toes inside. Frazier on the coverage.
Hold on to your hats. Bart Starr can feel a little bit better now as his team is threatening.
That was a perfect pass. Right?
Perfect pass. 3:20 on the clock. First down, Packers. They must win here today. Draw play. Clark shakes off the tackles. Clark forced out of bounds at the 5-yard line by Finsick. What a job by the rookie Jesse Clark. Breaking 2 tackles. Bears had reacted very well defensively, but he broke the tackles.
Just a simple, great individual effort by Jesse Clark, because you're going to see 2 Bears. There's Singletary and there's Dewison. Both tried to hit him high. He just shucked him aside, went down the sidelines, and Finsick knocks him out of bounds. Big play for the Green Bay Packers down to the 5-yard line. And if they score, then the Bears are going to be in real bad shape because they only have 1 timeout left.
60 yards on the day for the rookie from Arkansas, the 235-pounder. Looks like he's going to develop into a dandy. Play action. Dickey. He's got a man open. Touchdown. Kaufman. There are Packer fans here at Soldier Field. And they're on their feet.
Well, Kaufman only had to beat Otis Wilson, 55 out there. And you like to have a linebacker trying to cover that tight end out there, and that's what the Bears were trying to do, and the pass was right on the nose, and the Packers almost came down too quickly as far as they're concerned and scored a touchdown because there's still 3 minutes left in this football game.
Well, that's what we had said about the Chicago drive, that it used up more than 5 minutes on the clock, that left Green Bay with plenty of time, and when they missed that point after, it led to this circumstance. Stenerud sending the Packers back in front. job by Lynn Dickey.
Let's take a look at the fake of the run. The play action really worked there, and you'll see 55 just can't quite cover Paul Kaufman out there. Otis Wilson on the coverage. Kaufman made the grab. No slam. He just threw it to the official and said touchdown, Green Bay. Packer Air Fever, catch it? Pack Air Fever.
Well, they sure have some kind of an aerial attack. And when Dickey and Lofton get it going, when you think that he's got such a receiving core that Kaufman and Jefferson and Lofton all with more than 50 catches on the season, in addition to the running back Ellis with 52, I mean, they can spread it around. They got people who can catch the ball. And, of course, Ellis has not appeared today at all. Apparently a bruised shoulder keeping him out of action. But Jesse Clark has sure done the job, and Mike Meade as well.
And what about Guy Prather? You look back at that extra point when he stopped Bashnickel at about the half-a-yard line. That turned out to be a key tackle.
3:08 to play. Garcia will kick it off for Green Bay, number 11. Dewerson from the 15. Dewerson nearly broke loose and got out to the 38-yard line. Eddie Garcia, the kicker, making the hit on him, and it looked like Brown, number 93, might have tripped him up. 7 plays, 64 yards for the Green Bay Packers. Dickey to Kaufman for the score, and now Jim McMahon will be tested. McMahon, 9 out of 20, 119 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The third interception by Green Bay came off the pass by Walter Payton. The ball at the 38-yard line, 2:58 on the clock. Moorhead makes a strong side left.
Cliff Lewis is in the game for Green Bay.
McMahon gets time, and he hits Moorhead. First down, out of bounds at the 49-yard line. Well, the Packers, as we indicated, have been in 8 thrilling finishes this year. 5 of them in overtime. And they're headed toward another one. 2:53 on the clock. They lead by 1. If they lose, they'll go home and watch the rest of it on television. If they win, they'll be watching the score from Detroit and the final from New Orleans. New Orleans leading by a point with 6 seconds left. It looks like the Saints will win their game against the Rams. This is Suey, close to the first down. Randy Scott tripped him up. Hard running and good blocking in front of him.
The thing that the Bears have to remember is that there's still 2:34 on the clock, and they're not in all that big of a hurry. They're already down to the 43. They just have to avoid what you call a mistake, a fumble, or some stupid mistake. They have plenty of time.
Pass complete to Suey. Gets away. No, he does not. Good open field tackle by Murphy. It looked like Suey had eluded him, but Murphy stretched out and got him by the boot. First down, however, for the Bears. Dennis Gentry is in the lineup for Walter Payton. We're not sure what that's about. Payton is standing on the sideline. The pass for McKinnon incomplete.
The play was called off before they got the snap.
All right. And we're at the 2-minute warning, so that play will just be wiped out, the incompleted pass. As we have reached the 2-minute warning, Bart Starr again looking on with new concern. The Packers lead by a point. We are back at Soldier Field. The Chicago Bears with a first down at the 36-yard line of Green Bay.
And Payton is out of the game and will not play anymore because of an injured wrist. I don't know exactly what happened, but it must be bad, or he'd be in the football game.
That is for sure. He is standing on the sideline. But Dennis Gentry is in the lineup, the second-year man from Baylor. First down. Blitz. Here comes the blitz. The pass is off to Suey, and he cannot hold on. McMahon had to rush it. It was off the fingertips of Suey. 1:54 on the clock. Second down. The final score, the Rams in the final seconds defeated New Orleans 26-24. The last second field goal by the Rams defeating New Orleans 26-24.
And
so New Orleans has now been eliminated. They had a shot at the wild card, but they had to win, and they are out of it.
That means if the Packers win this game, they're at least in the playoffs. Am I correct?
That's the Green Bay Packers, if they can win with that loss by New Orleans, would be a wild card. That is Saldi complete to the 23-yard line. The Packers have to win here. We'll sort that out and make sure we got it all correct for you here, as this game is still very much in doubt. 1:30, and the Bears threatening again at the 23-yard line. First down. McMahon complete to Suey. Suey may have another first down to the 12-yard line. If Chicago gets in to this end zone here and holds on to win, then that's curtains for Green Bay. Anderson made the tackle, number 59 on Suey, forcing him out of bounds.
And stopping the clock, which was critical for the Bears. 1:17 to go. And there's two ways for the Bears to approach this game. And with the field conditions, you don't want to just say, hey, let's go for the field goal. But a field goal will win it for them. They can play it tight to the vest now and run the ball, keep it in the middle of the field, or they can go for the touchdown. Which way is Mike Ditka's going to play it?
You can see Bob Thomas' record, not one of his better years percentage-wise, but he was hurt, don't forget, during the early part of the year, and his field goal percentage was affected. At that time, he would love to have the opportunity to win it here. Rolling is McMahon, trying to get around Anderson, gets inside the 10 and out of bounds. 1:11 on the clock. John Anderson, with a burst of speed, prevented McMahon from turning it upfield. I don't know where Bart Starr's running, but he's back there talking to his staff on the sideline. Upset about something.
Yeah, something upset him all of a sudden, and
he sprinted 20 yards away from the area of action all the way down to his coaching staff.
He hadn't run like that in 15 years.
No, now he's coming back the other way, and it may have been that he felt that they were in the wrong defense on that play, only speculating. Nonetheless, it upset him, whatever happened. What's really upsetting him is that the Bears are knocking on the door. Straight drop to McMahon, complete. Good coverage, however, by Murphy. Saldi made the catch, did not get much on it. Mark Murphy, number 37. Making the hit immediately. 3rd and 5. They need to get to the 2-yard line for a first down. 4 Packers come in defensively. 2 down linemen. The Bears hurrying it up. Packers are going to have trouble getting set, and they just do. They fake the handoff. Rolling is McMahon. Gets a block from Suey. A stop at the 5. Johnny Gray making the tackle on McMahon. 30 seconds and counting. 4th down. 2 yards to go for a first down. Thomas is not on the field yet.
They're letting the clock wind down.
Yes, they are.
If anybody should call a timeout now, it should be the Packers. But they're a little bit late doing it.
Chicago's final timeout. 21-20, a Packer lead. Thomas coming in to attempt the field goal try. If he makes it, the season will be over for both teams. The Green Bay Packers, who must win here today and then wait to see what happens in the Detroit game. Of course, they got help from the Rams, 26-24. They needed the Rams to beat the Saints to enhance their wild card chances.
And remember that Green Bay has already got a hand on an extra point. So they can get up there.
Yes, they have. That one went over the crossbar, but nonetheless, they were able to get a piece of it. Now let's see where they're going to spot this. Remember, Bashnagel was unable to handle a pass from center on the last point after try. Tried to run it in and was stopped. Hilgenberg will be the snapper, number 63, and they're spotting it at the 13-yard line. A 23-yard try for Thomas. It is good. 23-yard field goal by Bob Thomas has the Chicago Bears in front 23-21. And Bart Starr may be looking at the end of his season. 10 seconds on the clock. Let's go back and look at that winning field goal by Bob Thomas. You see Bashnagel having a little trouble getting the ball the way he wanted it, but Thomas just powered the ball through, and he knew when he hit it, he had it.
There it is, Bob Thomas, as the Bears, with a little retribution. As you know, the Packers knocked the Bears out of it a couple of weeks ago. And as Mike Ditka would say, turnabout is fair play. And the Bears apparently have done it. Not too much time for the Packers to do anything with 10 seconds left in this football game. And they had their opportunities because, as you said, the Rams beat New Orleans. And all they needed was a victory, and they would have been in as the wild card with the possibility as a division winner.
Detroit plays later against Tampa Bay in Detroit. And it looks like the Lions will be the NFC Central Division champions. 10 seconds to play here. Thomas hits another line drive. It's off one Packer, Johnny Gray, having difficulty. The Bears pile him up. And it might be Chicago football. It is. It is Bears football. So that'll be it. David Simmons, number 57, coming up with a loose ball. 6 seconds left, Chicago football. And the 38,000 people on hand here have gotten their money's worth here today. They see the Bears season end on a winning note. They get back to a 500 year at 8-8.
Johnny Gray could never get the handle on the ball as somebody came flying in there to bust it loose, and the Bears got it. The Bears will have won 5 of their last 6 games. At what time they were 3-7 after they lost to the Los Angeles Rams, and have won 5 of 6 and wound up with an 8-8 record.
And if Tampa Bay were to beat Detroit later on, Chicago at least would have the satisfaction of sharing the record with Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota at 8-8. The ball is just covered here, and it is all over.
And here comes Bart Starr out on the football field.
Well, he expected a tough competition from the Chicago Bears and a man he admires, Mike Ditka, the coach of the Chicago Bears, and a very classy show there of congratulations to Ditka for the victory, and I'm sure a difficult moment for Bart Starr as the Green.
Images like this conjure up memories of Bart Starr burrowing in behind Jerry Kramer across the frozen tundra for yet another Packer title. But against the Bears, the new Packers bore little resemblance to those powerful Lombardi teams as Chicago left Green Bay out in the cold and out of the playoffs. Willie Gault, number 83, got the Bears on the board first, and in the seesaw battle, a determined effort by tight end Paul Kaufman set up the tying score for Green Bay. With a wind chill factor of minus 28 degrees, it was Jim McMahon barking out the frozen call near the goal line. Starr could only watch this time as McMahon carried the Bears to a 20-14 fourth quarter lead. This season, no one threw for more yards than Lynn Dickey. None of those yards seemed as important as the 5 it required to hit Paul Kaufman for a 21-20 Packer lead late in the game. Green Bay appeared to be on the verge of their second straight playoff appearance. But with 10 seconds left, Bob Thomas put an end to the Packers' dream and to Bart Starr's tenure in Titletown. After losing 23-21, Starr said, "This is the most discouraging defeat I've ever experienced." After the loss, Green Bay's board of directors decided that 9 seasons under Starr were enough.
Bear fans have long endured Chicago's bitter cold winter Sunday. The final game of the 1983 season was such a day. the winds off the lake, as well as memories of latter-day December duels with the Packers, increased the chill in Soldier Field.
Play action fake. Deep drop by McMahon. Going for an auto. Down the middle to go. He's down for the touchdown. Will he go?
Warmed by the electricity of an early score, the Chicago defense set out to put Packer playoff hopes in the deep freeze. The Bears iced Green Bay's offense with 4 sacks and 7 turnovers. Offensively, Jim McMahon shrugged off the cold and the Packer defense, running for 1 touchdown and passing for 2 more to give Chicago a 20-14 lead.
Slot to the left. Yep. A play action fake. There's a pass on the right side. Touchdown! Chicago Bears! McKinnon outraced the quarterback for the end zone. They were sucked.
Green Bay battled back and scored to go ahead late in the game. But with only 10 seconds remaining, Chicago still had 1 more chance.
It all comes down to Bob Thomas. Chance for Bob to be a hero and end the season on a very high note. There's a snap. The ball is down. The kick is up. It's good! 10 seconds to go. The Bears have taken a 23-21 lead over Green Bay.
The 23-21 win gave the Bears 5 victories in their final 6 games, as these boys of autumn had suddenly become the men of winter. Such triumphs will always rekindle fond memories of yesterday, and of a man who is gone but will never be forgotten. George Halas has not abandoned the Chicago Bears, for his spirit will forever be present in every member of the team he built, coached, and made legendary. The Chicago Bears, a team with a proud past and a promising future.